Chapter 1427. Sima Yue looked at them, tears welling up in her eyes. She tried hard not to cry, but she couldn't hold it in any longer, and her tears fell uncontrollably. How old are you? You're still crying. Huang Yingying wiped the tears off her face and smiled. How could I? Sima Yue was a little embarrassed and quickly wiped her face. Sima Lu Xian turned his gaze to Wu Lingyu. When he was first rescued, his consciousness was not clear. When he recovered, Wu Lingyu fell into a deep sleep again. When Wu Lingyu woke up just now, Sima Lu Xian and the others were not around, so the two sides did not meet. Therefore, this was the first time the two officially met. I heard about what happened to you. Sima Lu Xian spoke first. Although you are very outstanding, although Yue likes you and is willing to be with you. But I still hope that you will not bring danger to Yue. I will take care of my matters. Wu Lingyu said, I won't let her be in danger. I hope you can do what you say. Sima Lu Xian said, if you can't do it, if you put her in danger, I will not agree to hand her over to you. I will. Wu Lingyu didn't say much, he wouldn't exaggerate, but every word was as heavy as Mount Tai. Sima Yue's mouth twitched. Wasn't the change in style too fast? She was still touched just now, but in the next second, it became a father-in-law meeting his son-in-law. Both of them had a dignified look on their faces, which really didn't match her. She wasn't worried about the father-in-law meeting his son-in-law. During this period of time together, she had already understood Sima Lu Xian's temperament. As long as she liked it, he wouldn't say anything. So, he wouldn't make things difficult for Wu Lingyu, not to mention that he was so outstanding and doted on her. The only thing that worried them was probably his identity as a devil. With an enemy like the Devil King, things in the devil realm would definitely not go smoothly. It might even bring her danger. However, speaking of danger, he seemed to have quite a number of enemies. Especially that time in Fair Eastern City, he reckoned that he had formed a grudge with many forces of the Ghost Clan. He hoped that it wouldn't affect his ability to save his mother in the future. Alright, if you two want to talk about these things, go to the side. Yue just came back, let her have a good rest. Huang Yingying said, Grandma, I'm not tired. Sima Yue had rested in Wu Lingyu's little realm for a long time before she came back, so she did not feel tired at all. She looked at Wu Lingyu and said, Lingyu, you're experienced and knowledgeable. Look at father's situation. Is there any way to save him? All right. Let me check your body first, Wu Lingyu replied. Sima Lu Xian originally wanted to say that there was no need. His body had already been eaten to this extent, how could he recover? But seeing her eager gaze, he could not bear to refuse, so he stretched out his hand to let Wu Lingyu check him. Wu Lingyu checked Sima Lu Xian's situation himself, and listened to Sima Yue, so he had a general understanding of his situation. How is it, do you know of any way? Sima Yue asked. Uncle's meridians are all destroyed, so he can't cultivate now. Wu Lingyu said, if you want to recover, the only way is to reconstruct his body. Reconstruct his body? Actually, it's to reconstruct his meridians and spiritual sea. Wu Lingyu said. Then do you have a way? There is a way, but it will take some time to prepare the things. Wu Lingyu said. Is it hard to find? Sima Yue asked. One is very hard to find, the other is that I don't know if there is any now. What do you need? I need 2 divine medicines, Qing Yi and Little Seven's essence. The rest of the herbs are auxiliary. 2 divine medicines? Sima Xiu Qi and the rest exclaimed. 1 divine medicine was already priceless, not to mention 2 divine medicines. As for Qing Yi and Little Seven, it shouldn't be a problem if we ask them for help. Now it's up to those divine medicines. Sima Yue was shocked for a short while, but she quickly recovered and said, what are those 2 divine medicines? One is the one I mentioned to you before, Phoenix Nirvana. Wu Lingyu said, the other one is the fire rebirth of the hidden clan. Phoenix Nirvana and fire rebirth? Sima Yue remembered that when Wu Lingyu gave her the divine scar, he did mention the Phoenix Nirvana from the Sage Pavilion. But it was the first time she heard of the other divine medicine, fire rebirth. The last time I went to the Sage Pavilion, the Phoenix Nirvana had already grown a bud. I don't know if it has bloomed now. If it hasn't, we'll have to wait. Wu Lingyu directly told her the whereabouts of the Sage Pavilion's divine medicine. Then who has the fire rebirth? Sima Yue asked. The news that came that year was obtained by one of the hidden clans, but the hidden clan's matters rarely spread to the outside world, so no one knows where exactly it is. But this investigation can be done, it's just a little more effort. But the hidden clans are too strong, even if they find the whereabouts of the divine medicine, it won't be easy to get it. The hidden clans were powerful. This could be seen from how the mysterious forces retreated when the Cloud Sea City's Xianqiu clan attacked. If they wanted to get the divine medicine from the hidden clans, it would be difficult to imagine. No matter how difficult it is, I will definitely get it. Sima Yue said, Lingyu, I need your help to take a look at the Phoenix Nirvana. I haven't gone back for a few decades, I don't know if it has bloomed now. When you guys return to the inner regions, I'll go back and take a look. Wu Lingyu said. The matters here are more or less settled, we'll wait for them to return and say goodbye to them before heading over. Sima Yue said. All right. Sima Xiuqi and the others wanted to take a look at the clan. They basically didn't return for so many years just to search for him. They didn't know what it would be like when they returned. All right, then we'll wait for them to return. A few days later, Shimin Feng, Liang Wu Ming and the others returned one after another. Sima Yue went to look for them after they returned and told them that she was leaving. Everyone fell silent. Although they knew that she was leaving, they didn't expect it to be so soon. They had just destroyed the Zhongzheng clan and Yinyang Palace, and she was going to the inner regions. Don't pull such a long face, it's not like I'm not coming back. Sima Yue smiled. I believe that you'll come back. But once you leave, we don't know when you'll come back. Xiao Jingzhong pulled a long face. Actually, we can expand our forces into the inner regions. Baisheng said, on one hand, the resources in the inner regions are much better. On the other hand, if you encounter any problems in the inner regions, we can help you. Chapter 1428. That's a good suggestion. The others agreed. The resources in the inner regions are much better. If we can develop there, it will be beneficial for us in the future. I agree. We used to develop in the middle region. Now that our strength has increased a lot, we are qualified to develop in the inner region. I agree. I have no objections. Sima Yue pursed her lips. How did the topic change to this? Yue, what do you think? Liang Wu Ming looked at her and asked. I think that if it's for the future development of the sect, this is also possible. Sima Yue answered, if it's because of me and the sect doesn't need to do so, then forget it. If I go there, will I be at a disadvantage? Of course, the main reason is because of the development of the sect. However, you going there is also an opportunity. I think that's a good idea. We have the strength, so why can't we go? That's right. At this time, Lu Liangkai, who had been silent at the side, opened his mouth. Ever since the merger, he had been the head of the financial hall. It's not bad if we can go to the inner region in the future. However, we still have some difficulties. Lu Liangkai said. Liangkai, do you have any financial difficulties? That's right. Lu Liangkai nodded. I've been in the inner circle before, so I know a little about it. Although our fighting strength is comparable to the forces in the inner regions, we are much weaker in terms of economy. If we don't have any financial foundation, we won't be able to hold on. Instead, we'll be dragged down. Indeed. In the past, when we were in the Divine Devil Valley, we didn't manage it well. Although we didn't lack money, we weren't that rich. Well, although we have Liang Kai, the time is short. It's not a problem to launch a surprise attack, but if we have to fight a protracted battle, then we won't be able to hold on. Indeed. Sigh, if that's really the case, then we can only postpone this plan. Liang Wuming said, however, this can also be our next goal. How much do you need? Sima Yue asked. What? How much do you need to develop in the inner region? Sima Yue said, didn't you say that you can't meet the financial requirements? How much do you need? You need at least 3 medium-sized mineral veins. Lu Liangkai said, although we have mineral veins, But if we use them, if there's a problem, we won't be able to maintain our current expenses. We only need 3 or veins. Sima Yu said, then we'll just have to find 3 or veins. Yu, this or vein isn't something you can find just because you want to. Xiao Jingzhong said, although we have seeker spirit masters, we haven't been able to find a good or vein all these years. This kind of thing can only be found by chance. What if there are veins? Sima Yu asked. If there are mineral veins, then we can prepare to go to the inner region after we settle the Yin-Yang Palace and Zhongzheng clan's matters. Lu Liangkai said, why, Yu, do you know where there are mineral veins? Old Man Devil guessed her thoughts just by looking at her expression. Yes. Sima Yu nodded, I happened to find one last time. But how big is it? If it's bigger, although it's more risky, we can still give it a try. Lu Liangkai asked. But Sima Yu shook her finger. Not just one? Are there 2? Lu Liangkai was excited. If there are 2, then there won't be much of a problem. No, there aren't 2. Sima Yu saw that the usually calm Lu Liangkai was so excited and wanted to tease him, so she didn't finish her sentence. Not 2? Then what is it? Is it a big one? Lu Liangkai asked. Also no? Then what is it? Lu Liangkai couldn't figure it out. Didn't she shake her finger just now? Then what did she mean? A large mineral vein. Sima Yu said. Everyone held their breaths. A large mineral vein. How much money would that be? And, before everyone could recover from their shock, she spoke again, scaring everyone back into their mouths. 5 to 6 medium-sized mineral veins, and, hiss, everyone was speechless. They couldn't breathe. They looked at Sima Yu with sparkling eyes. There are a few small-sized mineral veins left. I didn't pay much attention to them. When Sima Yu finally finished speaking, everyone was completely stunned. Even those old guys who were calmer before were dumbfounded. This was especially so for Lu Liangkai. Even when he encountered the incident at Fair Eastern City and was trapped inside, he was still calm and composed. But now, he was the most shocked and excited. He ran over from his seat and wanted to hug Sima Yu, but Wu Lingyu sent him flying with a slap. However, although Wu Lingyu's face was black, he still knew how to control his strength. Lu Liangkai wasn't injured and got up from the ground. But now that he was awake, he wouldn't do anything out of the ordinary, but he was still very excited. Vice Valley Lord, is what you said true? Are there really so many mineral veins? Or are they? With so many mineral veins, there should be a strong fluctuation of spiritual energy. How could no one discover it? Vice Valley Lord, are you sure it's true? At this moment, he was already speaking incoherently. The others also recovered from Wu Lingyu's move. The matter was too shocking, to the point that they started to doubt this matter. Yue, where are the mineral veins you're talking about? Has anyone already discovered it? Liang Wu Ming's breathing was a little hurried. If this news was true, then Paramount Valley would rise to another level. It's at Jade Snow Mountain. Sima Yu said, last time when I went to save Director Mao and the others, I used those mineral veins to escape. So this news is naturally true. Because the snow there is a little strange, it covered the aura of the mineral veins, so no one discovered it. We've heard a little about what happened at Jade Snow Mountain. If those people didn't die at that time, would the mineral veins have been discovered? Shimin Feng asked. Sima Yu said, wasn't Glacial Cloud Palace destroyed very quickly? Everyone's attention was on Sky Splitter, so this matter was overlooked. I sent my Scarlet Bees to guard there, but they didn't send back any news. She was very sure, and the others became excited. To Valley Lord, I request to immediately go there and check it out. Lu Liangkai said excitedly. If that's the case, then let's go take a look together. Liang Wuming said. TXT download address. Mobile reading. Book review. For the convenience of your next reading, you can add a bookmark at the top to record your reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends. QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Fanbone would thanks you for your support. Chapter 1429. Lu Liangkai didn't know how to search for spirits, so he wouldn't be of much use. When Liang Wuming said that, the others also wanted to go. If there were really so many mines, they would be excited just thinking about it. They had to go and take a look. Sima Yue looked at their eager eyes and said, "If that's the case, then let's go." "Where is Yushua Mountain?" "My grandpa knows. Let him bring us there." Sima Yue said. "Then I'll have to trouble your grandfather. Also, let's wait for me to refine the pills for my father before we go. The situation in the largest mine is already chaotic. My father will have a better idea." Sima Yue said. "How long will that take?" "One day will do. We're going there at this time tomorrow. And I want to talk to them too." Sima Yue said. "All right. We'll wait for you." Although they said they were waiting for her, none of the Paramount Valley's higher-ups stayed in their own rooms. Most of them came to Sima Yue's courtyard and waited for her to finish refining the pills before setting off. Fortunately, Sima Yue habitually set up a barrier around herself when she was refining pills, preventing others from entering her room. Otherwise, she did not know if she would be affected. Early the next morning, she finished refining the medicinal pills. When she opened the door, she realized that there was a courtyard full of people standing outside. "Vice Valley Lord, are you done?" "It's done." Sima Yue shook the jade bottle in her hand, which contained the pills for Sima Lu Xian. "Since it's done, can we leave now?" Lu Liangkai asked urgently. Sima Yue smiled and nodded. "Sure. Then let's go quickly." Sima Xiuqi opened a spatial passage and brought everyone in. When they came out again, they were already in the winter plains. Because the distance was too far, and they had to pass through the obstacles in the middle and inner regions, there was a slight deviation in the exit, and they did not arrive at the mineral vein directly. Sima Yue sensed the location of the scarlet bees and flew over with everyone. In less than half a day, they arrived at the place where air broke through the spatial seal. "There's no aura of the mineral vein here." "Yue, are you sure it's here?" Old Man Devil asked. They had been to the winter plains before, but they didn't find any mineral veins. Sima Yu looked at the vast snow region. It had been a few months since the last incident. The traces had been covered by the snow and the aura of the ore veins had been buried again. "It's here." Sima Yue as she said, "Master, you to break the snow to break the ground to break it." Old Man Devil condensed his spiritual energy and attacked the snowy ground below. The thick layer of snow flew everywhere, revealing the frozen ground below. And Sima Tuzes to Tuz Toots Tuz 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 to Toot. What a dense aura. That's right, with such a strong aura, it must be a large mineral vein. Everyone was overjoyed. Since the mineral vein here was real, then the other mineral veins she mentioned before must be real too. So many mineral veins, their hearts were filled with excitement. But there's something wrong with this mineral vein's aura. Paramount Valley's Seeker Spirit Masters were more accurate in sensing the mineral vein's aura. They immediately felt that the mineral vein's aura was very messy. During the meeting yesterday, not many Seeker Spirit Masters came, so they didn't hear Sima Yue say that the aura here was messy. Therefore, they didn't know that the mineral vein here had been used before. Used the aura here to break through the spatial seal, so it's messy now. Sima Yue said, but as long as the aura is redirected, it'll be fine. The already messy aura can be redirected? The Seeker Spirit Masters said in surprise. It might not be possible for the average person, but Yoyue's father definitely won't have a problem. Liang Wuming said. Everyone's attention was on Sima Lu Xian. Why, don't you know Sima family's Sima Lu Xian? He's a god in the hearts of many Seeker Spirit Masters. Old Man Devil said in surprise. What? He's the genius of the Seeker Spirit world, Sima Lu Xian, whose strength is comparable to Third Mo's. Heavens! It's really him. The Vice Valley Lord's father is actually Master Lu Xian. With him, redirecting the aura back will definitely not be a problem. Sima Yue saw how excited they were and blinked doubtfully. Why don't you know? Cough cough, because Master Lu Xian has disappeared for decades, so we didn't think about it at all. Alright, her father was indeed more low-key when he was in Paramount Valley. Other than knowing that he was Sima Yue's father, the people in the valley really didn't know much about him. In the past, Sima Luxian was always active in the inner region and rarely went outside. If they weren't seeker spirit masters, very few people knew about him. Father, look at the situation now, is it easy? Sima Yue asked. It's not a problem. Sima Luxian said, although it's more troublesome with you and me air, it's not a problem. In fact, as long as me air was there, this wouldn't be a problem because he had absolute control over the aura. They had to go wherever he wanted them to go. Then I'll have to trouble you. Liang Wuming said to Sima Luxian. Valley Lord, you're welcome. Sima Luxian maintained a faint smile on his face, but other than facing Sima Yue and Sima Xiuqi, that smile didn't reach his eyes. Senior uncle, since father said it's not a problem, then I'll bring you to the other mineral veins. Then I'll let father open the aura together. It'll be more convenient for the people in the valley to mine later. Sima Yue said. Liang Wuming was silent for a while and said, forget about the other auras. There are seeker spirit masters in the valley too. When it's time to use them, let them open the aura. Sima Yue thought about it. This was also possible. With so many mineral veins, they definitely wouldn't be able to mine all of them immediately. Then they could do it later when it was needed. This way, father wouldn't be so tired. So, based on the distance and direction she walked underground, she drew a simple map and handed it to Liang Wuming. I did it when I was underground, so the distance and location might be a little off. Sima Yue said. What she didn't say was that she didn't find much at that time, only a few mineral veins. The rest were told to her by me air later on, so she couldn't be sure of the specific location. Liang Wuming took the map and led the others to inspect it, leaving Sima Yue and the others here to deal with the mineral veins. Father, sorry to trouble you. Sima Yue said to Sima Luxian. Me air, let's start. Sima Luxian nodded at me air. Me air jumped to the mountain peak in the middle. Chapter 1430. By title of book current location, Sima Luxian commanded the rest of the time. Me air controlled the potential and guided it according to what he said. Soon, the originally chaotic potential returned to its previous trajectory. Sima Yue took a look. It took less than 2 hours. If it wasn't for me air, they probably wouldn't have been able to do it in 2 days. When Liang Wuming and the others in the valley came back, they saw Sima Yue, Sima Luxian, Sima Xiuqi, Huang Yingying, Mu Si and a group of beasts eating hot pot in front of 2 big pots. The corners of everyone's mouths twitched. This was too leisurely. Senior uncle, you're finally back. Sima Yue raised her head. How is it? Have you verified everything? Are there any inaccurate ones? Apart from a few positions that are slightly off, everything else is fine. However, we also found those few after looking around the nearby mountains. Liang Wuming's voice was very excited. After confirming it with their own eyes, their hearts almost jumped out of their throats. That's good. Sima Yue said, by the way, Master, Uncle Masters, Hall Masters, would you like some too? There's no need. Since this side has already been confirmed, then we have to go back and prepare for the mining. Liang Wuming said. Don't worry, Martial Uncle. If we want to mine it, there's one more problem that needs to be solved. Sima Yue said. What is it? There are many spirit beasts in this Jade Snow Mountain. If we don't handle it well, it will hinder us. Sima Yue said, so, before we start mining, you have to discuss it with the spirit beasts. We won't interfere in this matter. All right. Sima Yue waved her hand and a few cauldrons appeared on the snowy ground. There were flames burning under each of the cauldrons and water boiling in the cauldrons. Beside the pot, there was a row of tables filled with various dishes. Master, Martial Uncles, Hall Masters, let's have a meal together. On a snowy day, eating hot pot around the stove and drinking a little wine was such a pleasant thing. You can also celebrate this matter. This is the hot pot sauce that I made myself while I was waiting for you guys. It's the only one of its kind. Sima Yue greeted everyone. Why do you have to treat everyone to a meal out of the blue? Old Man Devil walked over and sat beside her. After she said that, the others also found a place to sit down and imitated them to cook the meat and vegetables. Master, This is the farewell banquet I prepared for everyone. Sima Yue said, I have discussed with Dad and the rest. Since we are already in the inner region, we will not return to the valley. We will return to the Sima family directly. Therefore, after this meal we will set off. I'll leave the matters of Yushue Mountain and the development of the inner regions to you. Everyone was stunned for a moment, but they quickly accepted this matter. She had already said that she was going to leave, and everyone was already mentally prepared. Since you've discovered these mineral veins, just leave the rest to us. We will try our best to expand into the inner regions as soon as possible. When the time comes, if you have any problems in the Sima family, don't hold it in. Don't forget that you still have us. Old Man Devil said. Thank you, Master. Sima Yue smiled gratefully at Old Man Devil. Your disciple will toast to you. The two of them drank a cup. Old Man Devil put down his cup and looked at Wu Lingyu, saying, You want to go too? Of course, wherever Yue is, I will be there. Wu Lingyu said proudly. A grown man can't be kept at home. It wasn't easy for you to wake up, but you didn't accompany this old man properly. Old Man Devil complained. Didn't you always come to see me when I was asleep? What's there to see now? Wu Lingyu said lightly, You ran away for tens of years, who else can you blame? Old Man Devil was speechless. He looked at Sima Yue with a wronged expression. Master, senior brother wants to return to the Sage Pavilion, so he wants to go with us. I'm not blaming you. Sima Yue explained. Return to the Sage Pavilion? You've been out for so long, why do you want to go back all of a sudden? Just now, he received a message from there asking him to go back. It should be because of the extermination of the Zhongzheng clan. Sima Yue guessed. Just as she was preparing the hot pot, Wu Lingyu received a message from the Sage Pavilion. He could use this to go back, otherwise, if he suddenly went back to the pavilion, it would cause others to guess. The Zhongzheng clan is also a power of the Sage Pavilion. The Sage Pavilion didn't know that they were in cahoots with a mysterious power. Seeing that Wu Lingyu was helping Sima Yue, they naturally wanted to ask him clearly. You want to bring Mu Si along too? Old Man Devil asked. Yes. Sima Yue looked at Mu Si, saying, We don't have a dark attribute spirit master in our valley. If he follows me, I can teach him well. But you have so many things to do yourself. This doesn't conflict at all. He usually cultivates by himself, I just need to give him some pointers occasionally. Sima Yue said, Master, isn't that how you treat senior brother? Don't even talk about me. After taking me in as a disciple, other than the first 2 days, you didn't teach me for a single day. But didn't I agree to let you follow Su Jin? That guy is good at alchemy. Old Man Devil said. You didn't teach him that. Sima Yue said, Speaking of this, Master Su Jin isn't here. Senior brother and senior sister are in the valley, so I'll need you to take care of them later. Don't worry about that. When she went to find Su Jin and Gulang, she would have to go back and call them. Everyone rarely ate hot pot, so after the meal, the guests were very happy. Sima Yue kept everything and bid farewell to Old Man Devil. Then, Sima Xiuqi opened a space tunnel and took them away. Liang Wuming watched them disappear, saying, All right, now you guys go back and send people over. We need to protect this place. The rest of you and I will deal with the spirit beasts. We need to get the real thing done as soon as possible. Lu Liang Kai, go back and prepare to enter the inner region. Yes, Valley Lord. Thinking that Sima Yue went to the inner region, many people were excited to go there. They had to go in early to become Sima Yue's backing. Their Paramount Valley's treasure could not be bullied by others. After Sima Yue came out of the space tunnel, they didn't arrive at the Sima family's place, but at a city not far from the Winter Plains. Let's go find a teleportation array and go to a place with a spaceship. Spaceship? What's that? Sima Yue asked curiously. A spaceship is a ship that can travel through space. It has a strong defense and can protect the safety of the people on board. It can also build a tunnel in space to bring people to the other side. Sima Xiuqi explained. Isn't that similar to a teleportation array? Why do we need this kind of spaceship? Sima Yue didn't understand. Chapter content end, and underscores equals point, and IP equals, and undersc, equals GBK, and equals, tanxinum underscore 1005796 underscore 13556 underscore 53968 and undersc, equals true, and underscus, / x, m underscore 1005796 underscore 13556 underscore 53968 inch, and underscore h equals 0, and tanks undersc, and underscus equals point, and IP equals, and undersc, equals GBK, and equals, tanxinum underscore 1005796 underscore 13556 underscore 53982 and undersc, equals true, and underscus, / x, m underscore 1005796 underscore 13556 underscore 53982 inch, and underscore h equals 0, and tanks undersc, and underscus equals point, and IP equals, and undersc, equals GBK, and equals, tanxinum underscore 1005796 underscore 13556 underscore 53982 and undersc, equals true, and underscus, / x, m underscore 1005796 underscore 13556 underscore 53982 inch, and underscore h equals 0, and tanks undersc, Remember after reading, for next time, or Transmigration Fan, is dedicated to creating what girls love to see and providing them with the best. Chapter 1431. There are teleportation formations as well, but the inner area is too large. The teleportation formation's energy can't support too long a distance. For that kind of long-distance teleportation, the spatial passageways and teleportation arrays that we built ourselves are unable to support it, so we need a spatial ship. Sima Xiuqi explained. I see. There's a barrier around the spatial ship, which protects the ship from being squeezed by space while it travels through space, Huang Yingying added. However, the cost of constructing such a barrier is too high. Only a few superpowers have it. So even we can only sit in other people's cars. Really? I'm quite curious about this spatial ship. Sima Yue smiled and said, then let's take the spatial ship. Because Sima Xiuqi and the others had been here before, they knew where the space ship was and how to get there. He brought Sima Yue to the largest city nearby and introduced her to the inner region along the way. At this moment, Sima Yue realized that the middle and outer regions, which she thought were big, were not as big as the inner region. The inner region was divided into 81 prefectures. The area of each prefecture could not be described with the word vast. Even the smallest prefecture was half the size of the outer region. When Sima Yue heard this, she widened her eyes in surprise. No wonder they had to use a spatial ship. With such a long distance, the teleportation array was useless. Even if there were some teleportation arrays that could be used to travel between different states, they would definitely be ridiculously expensive. Ordinary people would not be able to afford them. I didn't expect it to be so big. She sighed. These 81 states all had their own names, but later on, everyone got used to using their numbers instead. The 81 states were labeled from 1 to 81. It was said that this was not a random ranking. Instead, it was ranked according to the resources of each province. The smaller the number, the richer the resources of that province, and the stronger the overall strength of that province. Of course, this didn't mean that all forces were like this. There were also some states that had decent strength. Which state is the C family in? Sima Yue asked. 64th state. It was quite far back. Sima Yue muttered to herself. We used to be a great clan, but we gradually declined and were pushed aside by the other forces. We had no choice but to move out. Sima Xiuqi said, Because it was once glorious, the later generations all hoped to go back. Sima Yue recalled the elders she saw outside Fair Eastern City. They all said that she was the hope for the revival of the family. They probably wanted her to bring them back. Because of Sima Lu Xian's talent in spirit seeking, they had always regarded him as the most promising person to lead everyone back, but they didn't expect such a thing to happen in the end. In the eyes of others, he had already died early. Therefore, when they were in the immortal land, the Sima family was eager to obtain the divine equipment and inheritance. However, their hopes were dashed and they could only place their hopes on Sima Yue. Sima Yue was speechless. When she was outside, she saw how respectful people were to the Sima family. She thought that they were a powerful force in the inner region. She did not expect them to be a fallen family. As for the people outside, they knew that there were very few factions in the inner regions. That was because the truly powerful ones didn't bother to go outside. Sigh, it felt like another pit. And she seemed to have jumped into the pit. Hopefully, it wasn't a huge pit. Along the way, Sima Xiuqi and Huang Yingying told her some news about the inner region. The more she knew, the more she felt that there was no end to it. For example, the Sima family that she knew to be very powerful was actually not very powerful in the inner region. For example, there were some very powerful families. She was the only super force in the entire state. Their strength could be imagined. However, this was only the 49th state. There were still many super forces in the other states. But in their words, the super force in the 49th state was definitely comparable to the forces in the top 10 states. It was just that they were unwilling to move, so they occupied the 49th state. Sigh. She sighed in her heart. Even if Paramount Valley's forces expand to the inner region, I think they can only go to the state at the tail of the number. It was not easy for her to feel that she was a powerful person. She felt that she had become a leader. She did not expect to become a tail here. However, she also secretly made up her mind that she had to carve out a place for herself in this treacherous inner circle. After traveling for 2 days, they finally arrived at their destination, Tangerine City. Tangerine City. Could it be that the city lord here likes to eat tangerines? Sima Yue looked at the 3 words Tangerine City on the city wall and laughed as she teased. How did you know? Sima Xiuqi said in surprise. This city was not called Tangerine City in the past. It was because the current city lord likes to eat tangerine spirit fruits that he changed the name to Tangerine City. Sima Yue was speechless. She was just guessing. She did not expect it to be true. Just because he liked to eat tangerines, he changed the name of the city that had been there for thousands of years. This city lord was really willful. I heard that this city lord came from somewhere and made a bet with the previous city lord. He won and became the city lord here. After he became the city lord, he asked people to look for tangerines everywhere for him. He ate all the tangerines nearby. Sima Xiuqi said what he heard the last time he came. He ate them all? Are the others willing? Sima Yue said in surprise. Besides, he is a city lord who came out of nowhere. How can those people listen to him when he orders them? They listen to him. Sima Xiuqi did not think about this. I heard that there was someone who made trouble before, but I don't know what he did after that. The entire Tangerine City is obedient to him. He is a talent. Sima Yue sighed. He is just a troublemaker. Wu Lingyu saw that Sima Yue was so interested in that person and snorted coldly. Sima Yue laughed and grabbed his hand. Don't say it like you are old. Your body is only 300 years old. I am younger than him. Just look at me. Wu Lingyu said overbearingly. He was really climbing up the ladder. Yue, the Sage Pavilion and the Sima family are in the opposite direction, so we have to separate here. Even if I am not by your side, you can only have me in your eyes and in your heart. Do you understand? Wu Lingyu grabbed her hand and poked her heart with his slender fingers, declaring his sovereignty. Sima Yue slapped his hand away and said, When did I have someone else in my eyes and in my heart? If you are so overbearing, I am going to find someone else. You dare. Wu Lingyu reached out and pinched her face. If it were not for her parents, he would have kissed her. Chapter 1432. Cough, cough. Sima Xiuqi coughed twice to remind them that this was a public place. Stop fooling around. Sima Yue slapped his hand away. How long will you be gone? I'll go back and take a look at the situation of the Phoenix's nirvana. Then, I'll send someone to investigate which hidden clan has rising from the ashes. After that, I'll go back. It shouldn't take long, Wu Lingyu said. What about the demons? There's nothing going on over there for the time being. I don't need to go over. Wu Lingyu said, wait for me. I'll be there soon. Sima Yue nodded. Then let's go in. Sima Xiuqi didn't like Wu Lingyu sticking to his granddaughter, so he reminded her. Sima Yue glared at Wu Lingyu. It was his fault for not caring about the occasion. They came to the city gate and paid the entrance fee. 2 high-grade crystals per person. The entrance fee was not low at all. When Sima Xiuqi went to pay the entrance fee, Sima Yue was observing from the side. She saw a sign on the side that said, entrance fee, 2 pieces of top-grade crystal stones per person, or 50 kilograms of tangerine. Piff, she laughed out loud, attracting many angry gazes. Ahem. She calmed herself down and said, you can use oranges to pay for the entrance fee? Of course, it's written clearly on it. 50 kilograms per person? That's right. If it was a top-grade item, the weight could be reduced appropriately. But if it's of a lower grade, it's not allowed. It's really worth it. Sima Yue said, Grandpa, let's not use the crystals, let's use the oranges. 50 kilograms of tangerines can be worth 2 top-grade crystals. What a bargain! Where do we get oranges? Sima Yue willed and baskets of oranges appeared in front of everyone. Take a look, what do you think of this? She said to the guard who was collecting the entrance fee. A steward walked over. After following the city lord for so many years, he had seen a lot of oranges. When the oranges were placed in front of him, he could immediately tell whether they were good or bad. Where did these oranges come from? He looked at Sima Yue excitedly. With such a rich fragrance, such a beautiful color, and such a smooth skin, he could tell at a glance that this was definitely the best of the best. At least, he had never seen such good oranges before. I bought it before. What do you think? Is this enough to cover our entrance fee? Sima Yue made up a random excuse. Enough. That's enough. The steward nodded. There were at least a few hundred to 1,000 kilograms of high-quality oranges here. With these, would he still be afraid that he wouldn't be able to report to the city lord this month? That's good. Then please give us the pass. Give it to them quickly. The steward waved his hand at the people who were handling the matter. His eyes were glued to the oranges and did not move away. The staff at the side gave each of them a pass. Sima Yue and the rest took the passes and were about to enter the city. Not long after they entered the city, the steward caught up with them again. Miss. Sima Yue stopped in her tracks and turned back to look at him, saying, Steward, what's the matter? The steward cupped his hands at her, saying, Miss, I wonder if you still have those oranges? The city lord is willing to pay a high price for them. Sima Yue saw that he was panting and it was obvious that he had chased after them all the way here. In other people's territory, it was good to form a good relationship with them. Moreover, there were many oranges in the spirit pagoda, so it was fine to give some to him. However, she did not want others to think that she was too attentive and had other thoughts, so she asked, Actually, we don't lack these things, but since we are in Tangerine City and your city lord likes oranges so much, then we will give him some face and sell some to you. I wonder what price you are willing to pay? 3 pieces of high-quality crystals for 100 kilograms, how about that? The steward asked tentatively. In the past, there were people who had oranges and spirit fruits who raised the price, so he did not offer a high price just to bargain with her. However, he did not expect Sima Yue to agree so quickly. All right. How much do you want? Her question stunned the steward. How arrogant was that? 1,000 kilograms, I wonder if you have it? The steward asked tentatively. Sima Yue was silent for a moment, thinking that this city lord was indeed crazy about oranges, casually giving out a few thousand high-quality crystals. Sima Yue waved her hand, and 10 baskets of oranges appeared in front of the steward. When the steward saw the 10 baskets of oranges, his eyes lit up, and he hurriedly took out 3,000 high-quality crystals and gave them to Sima Yue, then kept the oranges. He was in a good mood today, and Sima Yue was even more pleasing to the eye, so he asked, "Why did you come to Tangerine City?" "Oh, we are here to take a spatial ship," Sima Yue explained. "Spatial ship? Which direction are you going?" 64th state. "Then there is no spatial ship for you to use today," the steward kindly reminded them. "Why is that?" Sima Yue asked. "There are not enough spatial ships now, so the next spatial ship will only arrive here in 2 days." The steward said, "If you want to take a spatial ship, you will have to wait for 2 days." "Then what about the one going to the 35th state?" "That is fast, there is a spatial ship coming today. If you miss today's ship, you will have to wait for half a month." The steward said. "Half a month?" Sima Yue glanced at Wu Lingyu, feeling a little down. The news from the Sage Pavilion was rather urgent. If they waited for 15 days, and with the delay on the road, Wu Lingyu would definitely be scolded when he returned to the Sage Pavilion. "Why don't you go first? We will leave in 2 days anyway," Sima Yue said. Wu Lingyu thought for a moment, then said, "Then I will go and return early." "All right." Sima Yue nodded lightly, "Then I will wait for you." Although she was reluctant, she still hoped that he would go to the Sage Pavilion earlier to find out about the divine medicine, Phoenix Nirvana. "There is still some distance to the spatial platform here. Why don't my people send you there?" "No need, we have been here before, so we are not unfamiliar with it," Sima Xiuqi said. "That's right, steward, you must have other things to do, we will not disturb you," Sima Yue said politely. "All right. Goodbye then." The steward had a treasure and wanted to go back to claim credit, so he did not stay any longer and left with the things. Sima Yue saw his anxious look and could roughly guess the city lord's character. If she guessed correctly, she might be able to see the city lord one more time before leaving this place. Behind, Sima Yue and the rest sent off Wu Lingyu, then found an inn to stay in. There were still 2 days left, and they were not willing to wait up there. Just as she thought, before she left, she did see the rumored city lord, Lang Zhong. Chapter 1433. On this day, Sima Yue was talking to Sima Lu Xian in the house when the servant knocked on the door and said that the city lord was here. He really came. Mu Si was slightly surprised. "Master, how did you know he would come to find you?" The fact that he changed the name of the city to Tangerine City means that his love for oranges has reached the peak. That steward brought back so many high-grade oranges, he will definitely ask about the source. Sima Yue said, "Someone who likes oranges so much will definitely come looking for me when he sees me taking out so many oranges." "Master, did you do it on purpose?" Mu Si asked. "I didn't do it on purpose, but I guessed it when I was selling those 500 kilograms of oranges." Sima Yue smiled and said, "I also want to see what a casual person is like. To be able to subdue the entire city, this person must not be a simple person. Then you can leave. No matter what, he is still the city lord here. Don't let him wait too long." Huang Yingying said. "Okay, Crema." Sima Yue went downstairs and saw that there were no guests in the lobby. A man wearing a long gown was leaning on a luxurious chair. This chair wasn't there before, so it was obvious that the person had brought it here himself. The man turned around when he heard the commotion on the stairs. Sima Yue was stunned when she saw his devilish face. Beautiful as a crown of jade, devastatingly beautiful. Although she was used to Wu Lingyu's handsome face, when she saw Lang Zhong's appearance and the unrestrained look in his eyes, she couldn't help but sigh in her heart. "I didn't expect that such a young girl like you would have such delicious oranges. I thought it was an old woman full of wrinkles." Lang Zhong opened his mouth, his voice was lazy and blurred. "I didn't expect that the carefree Tangerine City Lord would be so voluptuous." Sima Yue recovered from her momentary daze and walked down the stairs. She came to Lang Zhong and bowed slightly. "Is there anything I can help you with, City Lord Lang?" Lang Zhong nestled in the chair and looked at Sima Yue's clear eyes. Other than being a little dazed at the first glance, She had always looked at him calmly. There were very few women who could look at him like this, which made him feel very comfortable. "Did you sell the oranges?" he asked. "I heard that City Lord Lang likes oranges. Since I have some, I'll sell some to you. Speaking of which, City Lord Lang's price is really not bad." "Yue, thank you." When Sima Yue thought of the 3,000 top-grade crystals she had earned, she was very happy and her smile became brighter. Lang Zhong looked at her smile and was slightly absent-minded. It was really beautiful. He had seen many beautiful women, but she was the first one who could make him feel so comfortable. "City Lord Lang, are you here to see what the person who sells oranges looks like?" Sima Yue asked. "No, I'm here to buy oranges," Lang Zhong said, "but that was my previous purpose." "What's the purpose now?" Sima Yue asked. "The purpose now?" Lang Zhong smiled at her. "Now, I want you to be my woman?" What? Sima Yue was stunned, his guards were stunned, and even the people in the room upstairs were stunned. Let her be his woman? Didn't their master not like women? He also said that women were all fake and his eyes hurt just by looking at them. But why did he say such a thing to this woman who only took a glance at him? Sima Yue was speechless and reminded him, "City Lord Lang, are you joking? This is the first time we've met." "It doesn't matter how many times we've met, what matters is fate." Lang Zhong stood up from the chair, came to her and bowed slightly. "The two of us are fated. Even if it's the first time we meet, it's like we've met thousands of times." Sima Yue's mouth twitched and said, "City Lord Lang, can I interpret this as love at first sight?" "Whether it's love at first sight or not, I'm not sure about this. What I can be sure of is that I have feelings for you. So, I want you to be my woman," Lang Zhong said domineeringly. Sima Yue rolled her eyes in her heart. What an overbearing and willful person. If it was an ordinary person, being confessed to by such a handsome and powerful person like him, they would definitely be overjoyed. However, she was not in this range. "I'm really sorry, I already have a sweetheart." She smiled and refused. Lang Zhong didn't expect her to refuse him. "Is he more handsome than me?" "In my eyes, he is the most handsome," Sima Yue said. "Is he an ugly monster?" "No, he's very good-looking. It's just that I don't use looks as a standard to judge a person." Sima Yue said, "So, it's not that you're not as good-looking as him that I rejected you. Then why?" "I said, I have someone I like in my heart." Sima Yue said, "I like him, no matter how good others are, I will not change my mind." "But don't people change? If you can like him, you can also like me," Lang Zhong said. Sima Yue looked at his serious face and thought to herself, "Is this person's EQ too low? People like him who have such thoughts probably don't know what love is. If you like someone, you won't change your mind just because there are other outstanding people. If so, then it's not true love." Sima Yue said, "True love? What is that?" "It's an involuntary feeling, just like when you like to eat oranges, you will feel happy when you think about it. However, I don't think you will understand it now," Sima Yue said. "But because you haven't felt this way before," Sima Yue said, "when you meet someone you really like in the future, you will understand." "Someone I really like?" Lang Zhong's eyes were full of doubts. Has he ever really liked someone in his heart? "City Lord Lang, if you want to buy oranges, we can discuss it. If it's something else, then please go back." Hiss! The shopkeeper and the waiter both took a deep breath when they heard her talking to Lang Zhong like this. The person who used to talk to him like this didn't seem to have appeared in the city. However, Lang Zhong was not angry this time. He put away his doubts and said, "How much do you have? How much do you want? If you have 10,000, I can add another piece to the price." "But, deal." Sima Yue waved her hand and 100 baskets of oranges appeared in the lobby. "That's all I have. If you want more, I don't have any more," she said. "This is the crystal stone." Lang Zhong gave her a crystal card, then put away the oranges, turned around and left with his people. But when he left the inn, he looked back at Sima Yue who had turned around and went upstairs. No one knew what he was thinking. Reading background default settings: classic light blue, classic light gray, classic green, classic bright yellow, dark blue, ocean, autumn green, elegant red, powder, family red, talk, thick sea, wide sky, heartbroken, past, snow, white, world, gray, world. Font color default settings: white, red, green, blue, brown. Font size default settings: small, medium, large. Speed 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 1 0. Mouse scroll description: 1 to 10, 1 is the slowest, 10 is the fastest. Chapter 1434. When Sima Yue returned to the room, Mu Si immediately asked, "Master, I heard from the shopkeeper that the city lord has a bad temper. If you reject him like this, will there be any problems? Do you want me to agree to his request?" Sima Yue asked. Mu Si shouted anxiously, "That's it. Whether he's angry or not, our answer is the same." Sima Yue said, "If that's the case, why should we care so much? Sometimes, there are some things that you just have to do, understand?" Mu Si thought for a while and then nodded. There were some things that could be done, but there were some that could never be done. Once done, there would be no turning back, and the consequences were not something he could bear. She had just said that if she liked someone, she wouldn't change her mind just because someone else appeared. She only liked Wu Lingyu. That's right. There are some things that should be resolved. Since you're going to leave, you don't have to worry so much. Sima Xiuqi said, "Even if we offend them because of this, we can just not sit here. I think Lang Zhong should not embarrass us." Sima Yue said, "He doesn't look like the kind of person who would do anything evil. If he wanted to deal with me because of this, he would have done it on the spot. Since that's the case, it should be fine. The spaceship will arrive early tomorrow morning. When we leave this place, there will be nothing left." Huang Yingying said. On the morning of the second day, they arrived at the platform where the spatial ship appeared. Sima Yue sized it up. A huge platform was situated on a vast plain. The platform was surrounded by pillars, each of them towering into the clouds. Those are energy pillars. When the spaceship is about to come out, it needs to rely on these energy pillars to maintain the stability of the space so that the spaceship can safely land on the platform. Sima Lu Xian saw that she was so curious about the pillars and explained. "Is the exit unstable?" Sima Yue asked. "The formation and the spatial passage are maintained by power, but the spatial ship doesn't. In order to travel through space from the void, one must have these energy pillars." "I see." Sima Yue looked at the energy pillars. "It seems like the most important thing about this spatial ship is these energy pillars. I didn't expect that as soon as you came into contact with this, you would know that it is the most important." Lang Zhong's voice came from behind, scaring the people in front of him. Sima Yue turned around, saw Lang Zhong and said, "Why are you here?" The person who spoke behind her was Lang Zhong. He smiled at her and said, "I heard that you are going to take the spaceship this time, so I came." Sima Xiuqi and Huang Yingying looked at him vigilantly, afraid that he was here to cause trouble. "So, you're here for us? What's the matter?" Sima Yue paused and said, "I don't have any more oranges." She had already taken out more than 5,000 kilograms of oranges. If she took out more, she was afraid that it would arouse suspicion. "No, I'm not here to buy oranges from you this time," Lang Zhong denied. "Then what are you doing here?" "I'm here to find you." Sima Yue pursed her lips. Looking for her? What was his purpose? However, before she could think of anything, she heard Lang Zhong continue to say, "What you said yesterday, I went back and thought about it carefully. I really don't know what kind of liking you are talking about, so I've decided I want to follow you." "What?" Sima Yue looked at him and felt that she was having an auditory hallucination. This guy isn't here to be funny, right? Follow me? Aren't you afraid that I will sell you out? Or that I have other purposes? Other purposes? Sima Yue looked at him. "You see, you like to eat oranges so much, why do I just happen to have so many oranges? Isn't this very suspicious? We've only met once and you already want to follow me. Isn't this a bit too strange? If I'm deliberately here to attract your attention, wouldn't you fall into a trap?" Sima Yue did not wait for him to speak and continued, "So, you should stay vigilant and stay away from me. Lang Zhong looked at Sima Yue, and after listening to her words, he was stunned. Then he laughed loudly, causing passers-by to stop and watch. "What are you laughing at?" Sima Yue glared at him. "Hee, you are really cute, Sima Yue." He said her name, and this time it was their turn to be surprised. She only said her name yesterday and did not say her surname. How did he know? They didn't say their names when they stayed in the inn. "How do you know my name?" Sima Yue asked. "You are so famous in the middle region, naturally I would know after asking." Lang Zhong said, "You just came from the middle region to the inner region. Tell me, what special purpose can you have for me?" Sima Yue was speechless. She didn't expect this guy to know about her so quickly. She looked at him and was a little curious about his identity. The first time she came to the inner region, he actually got news about her in just one day. This was not something that an ordinary city lord could do. Thinking of what Sima Xiuqi said, no matter who came to trouble him, they were all destroyed in the end. It seemed that this city lord who came out of nowhere had other forces behind him. Seeing his smug face, she snorted coldly and said, "You actually investigated me. Then have you found out that I hate people like this the most? City Lord Lang, see you never." After Sima Yue finished speaking, she no longer paid attention to him and turned to walk towards the waiting area. At this time, there was a rumbling sound in the space, accompanied by a strong vibration. At the same time, all the energy pillars around the platform lit up, emitting a dazzling light that made everyone unable to open their eyes. Sima Yue and the others also subconsciously closed their eyes. When the light dissipated, a ship dozens of meters high and more than 300 meters long appeared on the platform. "This is the space ship." Sima Yue looked at the ship and was pleasantly surprised. If this was just a ship sailing in the water, then she wouldn't feel anything, but this was a ship shuttling in the void. It was just very difficult to control it. "We will only stay for half an hour, prepare the crystal stones and line up to board the ship." A woman in white with a white hairband appeared on the deck, looking at the people below with indifferent eyes. Sima Yue walked with the others. When it was their turn, Sima Xiuqi handed over the crystal stones for 5 people. After Sima Yue got on the ship and asked, she found out that each person cost 5,000 top-grade crystal stones. The 5 of them spent 25,000 top-grade crystal stones. It seemed that this spaceship was really not something that ordinary people could sit on. In the inner region, crystal stones were really worthless. It turned out that the price Lang Zhong bought the tangerine was really not high. It was only because she was ignorant that she thought it was high. Chapter 1435. Title: Chapter Being Hated by People. Author: Everyone was given a room card when they boarded the ship. Only by swiping the card on the door could the door be opened. Because some people had been sitting on the spatial ship for too long, they would choose to cultivate on the ship. If the door was easily opened, they would be disturbed. When Sima Yue heard Huang Yingying's explanation, she was extremely surprised. The design of this spaceship was really amazing. She didn't know who invented it. The construction of this spaceship must have cost a lot, right? In that case, the price was not considered expensive. However, this ship isn't very long. How many people can it accommodate? She remembered that this ship was only slightly longer than the Titanic in her previous life. Back then, the Titanic did not have a room for one person and could only accommodate about 1,000 people. Now that it had a room for one person, the number of people should be reduced by half. You guessed wrong. Huang Yingying smiled and said, "This kind of medium-sized spaceship can accommodate 8 to 10,000 people." So many? Sima Yue gasped in surprise and immediately reacted. "Is there a space container in the room?" "Yes." Although it looked like the door was next to the door on the outside, there was an independent space inside. Therefore, there were more rooms. Moreover, the fees varied according to the distance. "We're not too far away, so it's only 5,000 yuan. If it's further away, it might cost 30,000 to 40,000 yuan or even more." This was a high-grade crystal, not cabbages from the streets. What a bunch of rich people. She couldn't help but mutter. Once in a while is fine. No one would sit around all day for no reason. Sima Yue thought about it and agreed. She could accept it if it was a little more expensive. Moreover, the production cost of this spaceship was not low, and the consumption of each trip was not low either. As the saying goes, wool comes from sheep, and these would definitely be paid by the passengers. The owner of this spatial ship must be very rich. She faintly sighed. If you like it, I can also give you one. Lang Zhong appeared out of nowhere, scaring someone who was sighing. Sima Yue looked at Lang Zhong's enchanting face and wondered how strong this guy was. Her perception was much higher than others, so even if someone was stronger than her, she could still sense it in advance. However, every time Lang Zhong appeared, he was always silent. If he wanted to attack her, she might not be able to avoid it. She bit her lips. She was really like a drop in the ocean here. It seemed that she had to increase her strength as soon as possible. What are you thinking? Is my suggestion good? Lang Zhong saw that she was looking at him absent-mindedly and waved his hand in front of her eyes. Not good. Sima Yue rolled her eyes at him. Although this spatial ship is going to stop at Tangerine City, the ownership right doesn't belong to you, right? What right do you have to give it to me? Besides, if I like it, I'll make one myself. I don't need you to give it to me. Poochie, a sneer came from the side, followed by a mocking voice. What an ignorant country bumpkin. Do you think you can build a spatial ship just because you want to? If you don't have a brain, then don't come out and make a fool of yourself. Sima Yue turned her head and saw a woman in a pink dress standing not far away from her. She had a standard oval face, extremely delicate facial features, 2 strands of hair hanging on both sides, looking very charming. Her curvy figure made people want to commit a crime. However, such a beautiful woman had a disdainful look on her face and said such harsh words. She shook her head slightly. It was really a waste of her good looks. She ignored the woman, but the person next to her did not intend to let her go. Miss Yang, don't you know? Those frogs at the bottom of the well will always say some nonsense. If you want to build a spatial ship, it will not be possible. But these words are not completely useless. Another woman said, Yao Yao, what's the use of these big words? Isn't it just to make us laugh? Liao smiled and said, we usually don't hear such words. If it weren't for her, how could we have today's blessing? Liao covered her mouth and laughed. Her delicate appearance was as if she had really heard something funny. The beautiful woman, Yang Shi, snorted coldly, echoing their words. Sima Yue looked at Yang Shi, but her gaze did not fall on her, but passed over her and fell on Lang Zhong behind her. Her eyes were infatuated. Sima Yue turned her head and looked at Lang Zhong. She finally understood why this unexpected humiliation happened. Do you know her? She asked. I don't know her. Lang Zhong simply shook his head. He had indeed seen a lot of these women, but he really didn't know who this person was. When Yang Shi heard this, her face instantly darkened. She had clearly introduced herself to him solemnly, but he actually had no impression of her at all. It was said that the city lord of Tangerine City was carefree and casual, but he had no interest in women. When she passed by here, she was curious, so she stayed and specially found an excuse to meet him. At that time, he obviously looked at her with interest, but now he actually said that he didn't know her. If he was like this to all women, then she could still figure it out, but she saw him smiling so brightly at a woman when she was on the spaceship, and even said that he would give this woman a spaceship. If an average person said this, they would definitely be laughed at, but Yang Shi knew that he had this ability because someone in her family had mentioned it a few times before. Although she didn't know his identity, it was definitely not simple. She looked at the woman again, thinking that her appearance was not as good as her figure was not as good as her clothes were not as good as her, and her identity was definitely not as good as her. Such a woman who was not as good as her in any way, Lang Zhong actually smiled at her? She was resentful in her heart, so when she heard Sima Yue say that she was going to build a spaceship, she spoke sarcastically. City Lord Lang, why don't you remember us? We just met a few days ago. The woman who spoke first said eagerly. Is that so? Lang Zhong pretended to recall for a while, and then said very seriously, this city lord really doesn't remember the 3 of you. Where did you come from? Could it be that they're here because of my unparalleled good looks? If that's the case, then I really don't remember because there are too many women like that. These words were really merciless. Sima Yue's mouth twitched. Although these words were not said to her, they were said so ruthlessly that she felt a pain in the ass for the three women opposite her. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that they were interested in him. Being ridiculed by their beloved, that kind of feeling, even if one used their toes to think, they would know that these three people must be feeling extremely sour right now. Gentleman's alliance. Chapter 1436. It seems that you are old acquaintances, then I won't disturb you. After Sima Yue finished speaking, she glanced at the number plate in her hand, turned around and walked towards the room, ignoring everyone. Hey Yue, don't go. Wait for me. Lang Zhong didn't even look at Yang Shi and the others as he chased after Sima Yue. Who the hell is that person? Go and check it out. Yang Shi's eyes were cold. A woman who could make Lang Zhong look at her in a different light, she wanted to see who she was. Miss Yang, why are you being so serious with that bitch? Just look at her poor appearance and you can tell that she is not a young lady from a big family. Maybe she is someone who came from some remote mountain. Go and check it out. By the way, find out where City Lord Lang is going. Yang Shi glanced at the woman faintly and didn't want to talk to her anymore. If that was a bitch, then what were they? Even worse than a bitch? What a brainless person. Yao. Fang Qi felt that Yang Shi was angry and looked at Li Yao helplessly. Li Yao also shook her head. This Fang Qi was too careless, she really didn't know what to say. But seeing her friend so sad, she still couldn't bear it and advised, Miss Yang has always been like this, don't worry about it. Isn't your Fang family very good at inquiring about information? Then you should check the identity of this person and the destination of City Lord Lang. Well, I will definitely find out, I won't let Miss Yang down. Fang Qi promised. You also know the purpose of our two families coming out this time. If we can get closer to her, we will achieve our goal so that we can save our families. Li Yao said. I understand. Fang Qi nodded. Sima Yue and Sima Lu Xian came to their respective house numbers. Huang Yingying and Sima Lu Xian were in one room and Mu Si was in another. Because Sima Lu Xian had no spiritual power, he was sandwiched in the middle and Mu Si's room was also in the middle. When Sima Yue opened the door, she found that Lang Zhong actually lived on the other side of her. Lang Zhong saw her looking at him and showed her his most charming smile. I didn't expect that we are actually neighbors. Please advise me in the future, he said. Sima Yue rolled her eyes at him. She remembered that the rooms were arranged according to the order of arrival. She did not remember that this guy was behind her. Now, he was trying to make it look like a chance encounter. Who would believe him? She ignored him and swiped her card into the card slot on the door. It was similar to how she used to stay in a hotel in her previous life. As mentioned before, although the room looked very small, once the door was opened, the space inside was still very large. It was no different from a normal room, and everything inside was also available. After she went in, she felt that the spiritual power inside was still very rich. It didn't seem so unreal because it was increased by the space. She walked around the room and then went to Sima Lu Xian's room to make sure that he was fine before returning to her own room. As soon as she returned to the house, the ship began to move. She went to the corridor and saw a circle of faint ripples around the hull. The ripples protected the hull so that it would not be squeezed when traveling through space. However, because of this layer of ripples, they couldn't see the scenery outside. Although she couldn't see the outside clearly, she could feel that the ship was rising. Then, there was a strong vibration, but it quickly returned to normal. Once again, they had successfully entered the void. Her interest in the spaceship only lasted for a short period of time. When she was sure that she couldn't see the void inside, she turned around and went back to her room. At the same time, in a room on the 4th floor, Li Yao and Fang Qi sat opposite Yang Shi. Miss Yang, we have investigated clearly. That woman is from the Sima family in 64th State. Fang Qi said. Sima family? Sima Yue? City Lord Lang did call her Yue before. Feng Qi said. Sima Yue, why do I feel that this name is a little familiar? Li Yao frowned. You know her? Feng Qi asked. Sima Yue. Sima Yue. Li Yao muttered Sima Yue's name. She felt that it was very familiar, but she couldn't remember where she had heard it before. After thinking for a while, she called out, I remember where I've heard it before. But Yang Shi and Feng Qi both looked over. When I heard my father say that Glacial Cloud Palace was destroyed, I heard him mention that it was entirely because some Paramount Valley released the news of Sky Splitter, which made them targeted by others. Li Yao replied. Paramount Valley? What kind of force is that? I heard that it's a newly established force in the middle regions. Li Yao said, I remember my father mentioning that Paramount Valley has a deputy valley lord called Sima Yue. It's actually someone who came in from the outside. No wonder she looks so poor. Feng Qi sneered. The disdain in Yang Shi's eyes became even more obvious. She wasn't even from the inner regions, yet she dared to covet City Lord Lang. How much else do you know about her? She asked Li Yao. Li Yao shook her head and said, I only heard about it from my father at the time, and quickly turned to other topics. I didn't say much about this person. It's a pity that we are now on the spaceship and can't find out about this person. When we get off the ship, I will check on this Sima Yue. Feng Qi said. Forget it, it's just a deputy valley lord of a new force in the outer regions. It's not worth our time to understand. Yang Shi said lightly, there's nothing to understand about a person who is about to die. Both Feng Qi and Li Yao were shocked in their hearts, and they looked at Yang Shi with a little surprise. They knew that Yang Shi went to see Lang Zhong in the beginning just because of curiosity. However, they didn't expect that she actually fell in love with him from the moment she saw him. And he didn't even want to look her in the eye. That was why she was so angry when she saw Lang Zhong smiling at Sima Yue. Since she wasn't a young lady from a big family, she made her unhappy and attracted Lang Zhong's attention. For such a woman, Yang Shi, would never be merciful. If you make me unhappy, I will make you lose your life. Sima Yue, who was reading in Sima Lu Xian's room, sneezed. What's wrong? Are you not feeling well? Sima Lu Xian was also reading a book. When he heard her sneeze, he raised his head and asked. It wasn't that no one had ever had problems with the spaceship before. It was Sima Yue's first time on it, so he was a little worried. Sima Yue rubbed her nose and said with a smile, It's okay, someone must be missing me. Sima Lu Xian smiled, shifted his gaze to the book she was reading and said, Are you reading a book on refining? Chapter 1437. Sima Yue looked at the book in her hand. It was the handwritten letter that she had obtained from the Spirit Pagoda. Yes, I got it from the Spirit Pagoda. Sima Yue told him about the mechas. After Sima Lu Xian heard it, even he, who had always been calm, was a little stunned. The seven-layered pagoda is a very powerful divine artifact from ancient times. I didn't expect that even without its artifact spirit, it would still have such a powerful function after fusing with it. He couldn't help but sigh. It's all thanks to the soul stone my father gave me. Sima Yue said, Oh right, speaking of that, she took out the map from back then and said, Father, where is this map from? Ling Yu and I studied it, but we couldn't figure out where we were. Sima Lu Xian looked at the map with a trace of sadness and nostalgia in his eyes. This is an ancient tomb that your mother and I once entered. Because of this map, I got the spirit stone in that ancient tomb. Sima Lu Xian said. What he didn't say was that he and Yu Kuluo had crossed that obstacle in that ancient tomb and went to the Wushan Mountains together, resulting in the birth of Yue, the fruit of their love. Father, since you have already entered, why did you leave this for me? Sima Yue asked. Although that ancient tomb isn't very big, there are many places that we haven't entered. You know, generally, this kind of place has inheritances and the like. I was also thinking that if you could go there one day, you might have your own opportunities. Sima Lu Xian said with a smile. Sima Yu looked at the way he looked at her. It was thick and full of fatherly love, which warmed her heart. She reached out and hugged his arm. She leaned her head on his arm and couldn't help but smile. "Thank you, father. You're so good to me," Sima Yue said. "Silly child, you're our only child. If we don't treat you well, who should we treat well?" Sima Lu Xian patted her hand. He was obviously still at an age where he was full of vigor, but because of his past experiences, he seemed to have gone through a lot. "By the way, Dad, since you know about this place, when should we go again?" Sima Yue looked up at him. Sima Lu Xian rejected her without thinking. "You're not strong enough now," Sima Lu Xian explained. "When I went in with your mother, it was a narrow escape. Although your external strength isn't weak, it isn't your own strength. In the ancient tomb, both the bird tribe and Paramount Valley are powerless." "All right," Sima Yue did not insist. "If that's the case, we'll talk about it after I've become stronger. When father's injury is healed, you can go with me. We can also have a companion." "All right." Sima Lu Xian had a faint smile on his face, but this smile didn't reach his eyes. He didn't want to disappoint his daughter, so he would do whatever she said. However, in his heart, he did not believe that he could be cured. Even if he could only be a cripple for the rest of his life, he would not complain. He was originally a dying man. To be able to reunite with his daughter, to have another chance to hug her, and to watch her grow, he was already very satisfied. "Kuluo, will there be a day when you and I can be reunited and watch our daughter together?" Sima Yue felt that Sima Lu Xian's mood was a little low and could guess what she was thinking. However, she didn't say anything. He wouldn't really believe that she could cure him before she achieved actual results. "Father, I have a book that you'll definitely be interested in." Sima Yue let go of him and said with a smile. "Oh, you're so sure?" How could he not know such an obvious change of topic, but he was willing to go along with her words. Sima Yue took out the book, Soul Seeking the Source, and placed it in front of Sima Lu Xian. This book? When Sima Lu Xian saw the book, he was so excited that even his hands were trembling. "That's right, this is the book that the soul-seeking masters are scrambling for." Sima Yue said, "I think that father should read this book instead of these books." "How did you get this book?" "I found it in the Spirit Pagoda." Sima Yue said, "The owner of this book has changed one after another, with all kinds of professions. This is really a great opportunity." Sima Lu Xian was very glad that he left this to her, allowing his daughter to grow up so well. However, he was a little worried. From what he knew, her luck was too good, so good that it left others in the dust. Although she had paid a price, compared to what she had gained, the price she paid was too little. Moreover, her luck continued to rise, allowing her to encounter more opportunities. Otherwise, why didn't anyone notice anything strange when everyone else was walking around the Winter Plains? She had only gone to save someone, yet she had discovered so many mineral veins. If she really had to bear anything in the future, let him bear it for her as her father. Sima Yue found that the ecstasy in Sima Lu Xian's eyes only lasted for a while, then his gaze became deep and worried. Worried? Was he worried that others would find out about this book and bring trouble to her? "Father, don't worry, other than Third Mo, no one knows about this. As for Third Mo, he won't tell anyone." Sima Yue said, "I believe in your judgment. If you say he won't, then there shouldn't be a problem." Sima Lu Xian saw that she misunderstood his meaning, but he didn't explain. Some things were not good for her to know. Sima Yue smiled at him and said, "Father, let's read. Grandpa and the others said that we have to sit for 4 to 5 days. Sima Lu Xian put away his thoughts and turned his attention to the book. Searching for the origin, this was the book that he had dreamed of. Now that it was in front of him, he couldn't suppress the excitement in his heart. They read for most of the day in the room. After feeling a little tired, Sima Yue took him out for a walk outside, to relax, and to the restaurant on the second floor to get something to eat. The restaurant was very big and there wasn't much variety of food, but the quality was very good and exquisite. It was very similar to the cafeteria in her previous life, with rows of food placed together. If you want something, you can just get it yourself. "Father, you sit here, I'll get you something to eat," Sima Yue said to Sima Lu Xian. "Okay. Father, I want a seat by the window." Okay. In her father's place, everything was good. Sima Yue went around and chose some for herself and some for Sima Lu Xian. After choosing, she walked back with the plate and saw Lang Zhong sitting next to Sima Lu Xian and Yang Shi sitting at the table next to him. Chapter 1438. Seeing Lang Zhong smiling so flirtatiously, Sima Yue's face suddenly turned black. What an all-pervasive fellow! In particular, he had brought 3 women with him. The way they looked at him was as if there were needles in their eyes, as if they wanted to poke holes in his body. Sima Yue walked over and placed the things on the table. Father, let's sit here. Sima Lu Xian smiled and nodded apologetically at him. Then, he got up and walked over to Sima Yue. Dad, this looks pretty good, so I got a little more for you. Sima Yue said. All right. Father, this spirit fruit looks like a high-grade spirit fruit. It's not bad to eat some after dinner. All right. Father, let's go to the deck for a while after eating. All right. Sima Yue and Sima Lu Xian chatted as they ate. They didn't pay attention to the people who were looking at them. However, the people at the side did not have the self-awareness of being quiet and insisted on butting in. To the deck? I'm going to the deck as well. Let's go together. Sima Yue rolled her eyes at him and ignored him. Lang Zhong walked over automatically and leaned over to Sima Yue and said, I know where you can see the scenery outside. Sima Yue turned her head and asked, Really? Of course, why would I lie to you? Lang Zhong laughed. All right, let's go together. Sima Yue agreed. Yang Shi and the other 2, who were eating a few spirit fruits, heard the commotion and gave Li Yao a look. Li Yao understood. After eating 2 spirit fruits, she got up and sat down at Sima Yue's table. Hello, are you Yue? I'm really sorry. We shouldn't have laughed at you on the deck. Li Yao looked at her apologetically. You'll forgive us, right? Sima Yue looked at her. Even though Sima Yue tried her best to look sincere, Sima Yue still caught the disdain in her eyes. However, this was her first time in the inner region, so she didn't have much contact with the people here. She didn't want to fall out with them because of this. It's not a big deal. She replied faintly without much enthusiasm. So you're saying that you've forgiven us? Li Yao said with a smile. My name is Li Yao. I'm here to look for the Li family of the 50 states. What about you? I heard City Lord Lang call you Yue. Sima Yue. Sima Yue gave a simple reply. She did not elaborate on her background. Li Yao sneered in her heart. It was indeed embarrassing to talk about 64 prefectures in front of her. However, even if you don't say it, I know your background. Why are you still pretending in front of us? So you are the young lady of the Sima family. Li Yao said, This is the first young lady of the Yang family of the 16th state, Yang Shi. There is also the young lady of the Fang family of the same state as me, Fang Qi. Sima Yue looked at them. They were all smiling at her. She also casually responded to them. Yang Shi walked over and sat at the same table with them. She smiled and said, Miss Sima, it's fate that we are all on the same spatial ship. That's right. Sima Yue said meaningfully. May I know where Miss Sima is going? Yang Shi asked. 64 prefectures. 64 prefectures? What a coincidence, so are we. Looks like we have to get off at the same place. Yang Shi said. But aren't you from the 16th state? There's a convention in the 64 prefectures. We received an invitation, so we have to go there before returning. Yang Shi said. But Sima Yue's reaction was very calm. She was not as curious as she had expected. She did not know how to continue the conversation. Fortunately, Li Yao, who was at the side, helped her out. Miss Sima, you're from the 64 prefectures. You should know about this convention, right? I heard that it's a competition for female alchemists. Li Yao said. Female alchemy competition? There was even an alchemy competition specially prepared for women? She was a little surprised. She had never heard of this before. What, you don't know? The surprise on Li Yao's face this time was real. A person whose family was in the 64 prefectures actually did not know about this competition. Sima Yue shook her head and said, I haven't been back for many years. This time, I haven't gone back yet. Why is there a female alchemy competition? Actually, it's not. Yang Shi said. It's not? Yes. But didn't you guys just say that it's a female alchemy competition? Sima Yue was confused by them. This is just a part of this convention. Li Yao said, this convention is actually a female gathering. It's just that during the gathering, there will be alchemy and weapon refining competitions. It's said that in the past, it was for everyone to spar during the gathering. But now, it has become a competition between women. It has completely deviated from the original intention. Li Yao explained. So that's how it is. Sima Yue understood. I don't know, Miss Sima, what do you know? Feng Qi asked. A little bit of everything. Sima Yue said. It seems that Miss Sima is really involved in a wide range of things. Li Yao praised, but in her heart, she was saying the opposite. A little bit of everything? The three of them all laughed in their hearts, thinking that she was just talking big, just like when she said that she wanted to build a spaceship by herself. So, it seems that Miss Sima is going to participate in this competition? It depends on the situation. Sima Yue didn't say anything. If it was interesting, she could go and take a look. Yue, regardless of whether you go to the competition or not, I will follow you. Lang Zhong said, in short, wherever you go, I will go. Sima Yue saw the expressions of Yang Shi and the other two suddenly change, as if the disguise was about to break. The words of refusal that were about to come out of her mouth were swallowed back. Okay, whatever you want. As long as you don't disturb my life. During their conversation, Sima Lu Xian finished eating the food that Sima Yue brought for him, and Lang Zhong immediately invited them to visit the scenery outside. City Lord Lang, we are also curious about what it looks like outside. Can you take us with you? Yang Shi looked at him with her big eyes. That affectionate look, Sima Yue could describe it as a beautiful smile and beautiful eyes. Such a woman really has the aptitude to be a disaster. However, Lang Zhong was not shocked by the electric waves she sent out at all, and directly refused. That place is too small to accommodate so many people. Yue, Uncle Sima, let's go. Sima Yue and Sima Lu Xian both twitched the corners of their mouths. Uncle Sima? Sima Lu Xian was not necessarily older than him, right? According to Sima Yue's guess, he should be a middle-aged monster. Uncle Sima, how could he call him that? Chapter 1439. Lang Zhong took them away, leaving Yang Shi and the other two with resentful faces. If looks could kill, Sima Yue would have died thousands of times. Miss Yang, didn't you say that those kinds of competitions are too boring and that you don't want to go and just go back? Why are you suddenly going again? Feng Qi asked, puzzled. That kind of competition is boring to begin with, and I didn't plan to participate. It's just a reason to get off the boat with them. Yang Shi snorted coldly. Feng Qi, just think about it. The spaceship doesn't allow the use of spiritual power, so we naturally can't fight here. Since Sima Yue wants to go down to the 64th state, we naturally have to go down as well. Li Yao said. I see. Feng Qi finally understood. Li Yao indifferently glanced at Yang Shi's tightly clenched fist, and the corners of her mouth curled into a faint mocking smile. Previously, they heard that City Lord Lang had followed Sima Yue and the rest up here. He even said that he would follow her wherever she went. Since Yang Shi came up, her eyes had never left Lang Zhong. When she heard the news, she naturally had to follow. Of course, she would not say this out loud. Otherwise, the person Yang Shi would be angry with would be her. Yang Shi's face was dark, and her fingernails dug deep into her palms. Where is she? Where are you? What if she doesn't exist in this world? Sima Yue naturally felt the murderous gaze behind her, but she was not worried. On the spatial ship, no one dared to use spiritual energy. She and her father followed Lang Zhong to the deck, but Lang Zhong did not stop. Instead, he took them to the 4th floor and came to the first room. Is this the place? Sima Yue asked. That's right. You'll be able to see it once you enter. Lang Zhong said, This is the room card that I got through my connections. It cost me a lot of money. Sima Yue did not feel anything when he was asking for credit, so she did not praise him. Instead, she urged him, if that's the case, open the door quickly. Lang Zhong was not annoyed. He took out a special room card, swiped it, and the door opened. Go in. Sima Yue held Sima Lu Xian's hand. If there was anything inside, she would be able to react quickly. However, the moment she entered the room, she was completely stunned. At this moment, she seemed to be standing in the void. Many planets flashed before her eyes, and some of them were even shining. And she was the ruler who stood at the peak of the world, overlooking the vast starry sky. She was so engrossed that she didn't notice that her body was emitting a soft light, making her look as if she had become one with the vast starry sky. Lang Zhong and Sima Lu Xian looked at her, but neither of them made a sound. She could actually have some insights here. After a while, the soft light on Sima Yue's body dissipated and turned into specks of light. They danced around her and reflected the starlight from afar. This is amazing. Sima Lu Xian and Lang Zhong had never seen such a feeling before, and they couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. Sure enough, she is a person with great luck. Lang Zhong looked at Sima Yue with a deep gaze. Those lights circled around Sima Yue for a while, and then all entered her body. When all the light disappeared, she opened her eyes and woke up. Lang Zhong and Sima Lu Xian found that Sima Yue's aura had become softer and more agile. I didn't expect you to be able to comprehend it here. Congratulations. For the first time, Lang Zhong felt that in addition to making himself feel comfortable, she also had the talent to make people look at her seriously. Sima Yue had just been enlightened and was in a good mood. She looked at Lang Zhong with gratitude and her smile was more sincere. Thank you, if you hadn't brought us here, I wouldn't have been able to comprehend it. She thanked him. This is also your own talent. Lang Zhong did not take credit. Many people have entered this room, but you are the first one to comprehend it here. Sima Yue smiled. It seems that my luck is really good. This was not a matter of luck. Lang Zhong said, but no one continued to talk about this. If they continued, it would seem flattering. Sima Yue looked at the starry sky outside and asked curiously, how can we see the scenery outside from here? I don't feel dizzy at all. Because of this. Lang Zhong pointed to a stone platform in the room. This? Sima Yue and Sima Lu Xian looked at it. The stone platform was ugly and even looked a little rough, with many grooves on it. Was this the thing that allowed them to see the scenery outside? This came out of an ancient mining area. It can change the magnetic field around us and make those lights slow down here. So you won't feel dizzy looking at it. Lang Zhong explained. But because of this, what we see is not the whole outside. Sima Yue and Sima Lu Xian both nodded. The outside was fast and the inside was slow, so naturally it couldn't be shown. What a treasure! If I build a spaceship in the future, I really want to dig this back. The corner of Lang Zhong's mouth twitched. She was still thinking about building a spaceship. Although he didn't laugh at her, he still didn't believe her from the bottom of his heart. However, since she was the person he liked, he didn't mind listening to her words. But he didn't expect her to still be thinking about this. She still wanted to dig this away? Does she know the value of this thing? Before he asked, he heard Sima Yue murmur, however, the value of this thing must be very high. I don't know if the other party is willing to part with it. If it doesn't work, do you want to snatch it? Ahem, Lang Zhong was taken aback by her words and said, do you know who owns this ship? 49 states. Lang Zhong only said the number of states, and everyone knew what this meant. It turns out to be from the 49 states. I heard from Grandpa that it's very powerful. Sima Yue touched her chin. In that case, let's talk about it when the time comes. The corner of Lang Zhong's mouth twitched. Talk about it when the time comes? Are you really going to snatch it when the time comes? If she really wants to come, what will I do? Dad, there are other people living in those places, right? Sima Yue looked at the planet outside and said, yes, those places are called extraterrestrials by us. Sima Lu Xian said, But no one has been to those places. No one has been there? Those places are far, far away from us. Lang Zhong said. So far that without special means, they can't get close at all. Are the people we met in Immortal Land the people from those places? Sima Yue asked. Sima Lu Xian had heard her say it before, so he knew what she was talking about. I think so. It's just that I don't know where exactly, he said. Sima Yue looked at the bright lights outside and guessed that those places should be similar to them, and not the place that controls the heavenly Tao. Emperor Qing Dao. Reading background default settings: classic light blue, classic light gray, classic green, classic bright yellow, dark blue, ocean, autumn, abundant green, elegant red, powder, aristocratic, family, red, talk, thick, sea, wide, sky, heartbroken, past, snow, white, world, gray, world, font color default settings: white, red, green, blue, brown, font size default settings: small, medium, large, speed 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 1 0. Mouse scroll description: 1 to 10, 1 is the slowest, 10 is the fastest. Chapter 1440. Emperor Qing Dao. While she was comprehending, she saw him. She saw the divine sense that had met her in the heavenly tower. He had clearly dissipated right in front of her eyes. Part of him had entered heaven's halberd, and the other part had entered her body. After that divine sense entered her body, she did not feel anything and was not affected at all. So much so that she almost forgot about him. However, just now, she saw him appear again. He slowly took form and smiled at her, telling her that she still had things to do and that he was still waiting for her. She knew that she still had things to do. She hadn't forgotten the conversation in the heavenly tower. However, there was nothing he could do about that matter. However, he said that he was waiting for her. Where was he waiting for her? Why wait for her? She didn't think that it was a hallucination. She had never thought of him before, and it had been so many years. It was impossible for her to hallucinate and see him when she came here. She believed that this was an instruction from him to her. When Emperor Qing Dao's figure disappeared again, she had her own comprehension. Therefore, this comprehension should be helped by him. Emperor Qing Dao. She repeated this name in her heart again and decided that when she had the chance in the future, she would definitely find out more about him. After staying in the house for half a day, Sima Yue was tired of looking at the scenery outside. Planets were constantly flashing in front of his eyes, and after looking at them for a long time, it was no longer fresh. When they were in the house, Lang Zhong asked her if she was really going to participate in any competitions. Sima Yue shook her head and said, I'm not interested in those. I want to go home. Go home and find a way to cure your father. By the way, those people are coming for you. So, if you want to follow us, don't create trouble for me. Sima Yue turned around and warned. Lang Zhong looked at her. Her expression was very serious and he knew that she was not joking. But when did he cause her any trouble? However, when he saw Sima Yue's gaze, he nodded. Since you've promised, you have to do it. Otherwise, she didn't say what she would do, but she believed that everyone was well aware. Poor guy with a high IQ but a low EQ. He really didn't think of what she had said after that. What was she thinking? Wasn't a threat a piece of cake in front of him? Thus, he nodded confidently. He would just follow her and not cause any trouble. Yes, even if there was trouble, they would avoid him as soon as they saw him. Little did they know that he was the moving troublemaker. Sima Yue first sent Sima Lu Xian back to his room, then she prepared to go back to her own room to think about what happened today. Do you really plan to let that person follow us? Sima Lu Xian asked. Sima Yue nodded and said, I have seriously thought about this issue. Lang Zhong's identity is definitely not as simple as the city lord of Tangerine City. We just came back. Grandpa and the others don't have much power at home. If there's anything, it should be fine to ask him for help. Since he is willing to follow us, we have nothing to lose. But there's still trouble. Sima Lu Xian said. With his sharp senses, how could he not sense the killing intent of Yang Shi and the others? As long as Lang Zhong was by her side, there would be countless Yang Shi. Sima Yue smiled. If you gain something, you have to give something up. It's just a little trouble, it's nothing. But I don't want you to be so tired. That's why I told him not to cause trouble himself. Sima Yue said, well, Dad, don't worry, I don't care about that trouble. You read well, I'll go back and consolidate today's enlightenment. Sima Lu Xian liked her being so domineering, but he was distressed that she started to plan so early. Although they would have the protection of the family when they go back, they didn't know what they would face when they went back. The Sima family didn't just welcome them back. There was also the person who poisoned Yukuluo. They haven't found out yet. If they found out, what if the Sima family was unwilling to use them? You know, the people she gave to Shenyuan Pavilion? The news from Shenyuan Pavilion was more powerful than the Sima family. Sima Yue returned to her room and thought for a while. She didn't go back to that place, so she didn't have any clues, so she simply didn't think about it. She set up another enchantment in the room before entering meditation. Sima Yue's meditation this time was different from the previous short enlightenment. In the next few days, she didn't take a step out of her room, so those who wanted to get close to her couldn't get close to her. If they couldn't get close to her, they couldn't get more information. When Yang Shi heard this from Li Yao, she just sneered. Could it be that she's afraid, so she's hiding? Feng Qi said. She can hide for a while, but she can't hide forever. Yang Shi said, now she's hiding in her room and won't come out. When she gets off the ship, she will come out. By the way, when we were inquiring about the news, we learned another news. Feng Qi said. What? I heard that the person from the 15th state and the person from the 49th state are both on this ship. Feng Qi said. Although she didn't say it explicitly, Yang Shi and Li Yao still knew who the two people she was talking about were. They're willing to go out too? Yang Shi's eyes flashed with anger. It was obvious that she wasn't in a good mood when she talked about those two people. I heard that they're also going to the 64th state. Feng Qi added. They're also going to the 64th state? It seems that they're going for the conference this time. However, with their personalities, they haven't been very interested in this in the past. Why are they participating this time? Li Yao said with some surprise. Naturally, something that interests them has appeared. Yang Shi said, I'm a little curious about something that can interest them. Perhaps, we can also go and take a look at this conference. Maybe there will be some unexpected surprises. So, you're planning to participate? Li Yao asked. Although she had decided to get off the ship at the 64th state, Yang Shi didn't plan to participate in the conference. However, when she heard that the two of them were going, she immediately changed her mind. It could be seen that Sima Yue couldn't enter her eyes at all. She had always set her sights on those people. Sima Yue estimated that she was about to get off the ship, so she woke up from her meditation. She opened the door and went out, and saw Lang Zhong talking to a woman in black with a cold temperament. When the woman saw Sima Yue coming out, she specially glanced at her. That gaze was unabashedly sizing her up. Is that her? The woman asked. Lang Zhong responded. Although his expression was still indifferent, Sima Yue could see that he was less perfunctory than when facing other women. Who is this woman? Chapter 1441. The woman in black saw Sima Yue looking at her and nodded. She didn't say anything and turned to leave. She walked to the end of the corridor and went up to the 4th floor. It was said that the people who lived on the 4th floor were not ordinary people. Yue, you finally came out. Lang Zhong came over and greeted her, but he didn't mean to mention the woman just now. Sima Yue did not intend to let her off after being scrutinized like that, because her gaze made her feel uncomfortable, as if she was being picked on. Who is that? A friend I know. Lang Zhong said, he knows that I left Tangerine City because of you, so he is a little curious about you. Curious? She didn't think so, or rather, it wasn't just that. This was the only reasonable explanation he could give. He still didn't intend to reveal that person's identity. However, even if he didn't say anything, would she not know? He was not the only one who knew her. How long until we reach the 64th state? She asked. We are now at the boundary of 64. Lang Zhong said, wait for half a day and we will be there. Every state had several places to dock their ships. They chose the first place after entering the 64th state. Half a day later, all the people who were going to get off the ship were on the deck. They only had to wait for the spaceship to stop and then get off the ship in order. The maidservant that they had seen on the ship before appeared again. She took back the key cards in everyone's hands and then came to the front of the deck. The people on the deck couldn't see outside, but they could feel the vibrations. Then, the barrier covering the outside dispersed, and they finally saw the scenery outside. The people on the deck got off the ship in order. Lang Zhong naturally followed Sima Yue. Yang Shi, who was behind, looked at this scene and gritted her teeth in hatred. Suddenly, she felt two pairs of eyes on her. She looked up and saw a woman in black and a woman in a pink dress on the 4th floor. The woman in black was the one Sima Yue saw in the morning. She looked at Yang Shi with a cold gaze. The woman in the pink dress looked like she was smiling. When she saw Yang Shi turn around, she nodded at her as a greeting. "They're coming over." Li Yao recognized the two women and said, "So what if he's here?" Yang Shi turned around and sneered. "We'll know the news after we get off the ship." She then turned her attention to Sima Yue. This was the person she wanted to deal with. Seeing Lang Zhong smiling at Sima Yue, her heart burned with anger. That be asterisk T. Sima Yue could feel someone staring at her from behind, but she did not care. She knew who it was even if she used her toes to think. They got off the boat. Sima Xiuqi and Huang Yingying looked at the familiar scenery and were a little excited. "I'm finally back." Sima Lu Xian's expression didn't change much, but Sima Yue could see that he was suppressing his expression. "Father, we'll be able to go back soon." She comforted him. "It's been decades. I wonder what has become of this place." A few decades is just a drop in the ocean compared to the long history. How big of a change can there be? Sima Yue smiled. "It has changed, but it hasn't. Well, I haven't been back for a long time. I'm a little homesick." Sima Lu Xian smiled. "Master, is this the place where you were born?" Mu Si asked. "No, I wasn't born here, but I did stay here." Sima Yue said. "Let's go, we're going back." Huang Yingying said. "But, Miss Sima." Yang Shi and the others chased from behind. "It seems that we really got off the boat together." "But, we're going home, so we'll take our leave first." Sima Yue nodded to her and turned to leave. However, the other party obviously didn't intend to let them go like this. "Miss Sima, are you going back to the Sima family?" Li Yao asked. "That's a coincidence. We're also going to Yi Prefecture. It seems that we can go together." Li Yao said happily. "What are you going to Yi Prefecture for? Didn't we say before that we're going to attend the convention? The venue this time happens to be in Yi Prefecture." Yang Shi said. "Oh, but it's fate that we met, and we're going in the same direction. We're not familiar with 64, so you don't mind bringing us along, right?" Li Yao's voice was a little high, causing the people around to look over. If it was an ordinary person, it would definitely be difficult to refuse after hearing others say this. Moreover, their family strength was higher than the Sima family's. They were willing to go with her because they thought highly of her. However, Sima Yue wasn't an ordinary person. She didn't want to go with someone who obviously wanted to kill her. "It's fate that we're together, but I've been shy since I was young, so I'm sorry. Grandfather, grandmother, father, let's go." After she finished speaking, she didn't give the other party a chance to speak and turned to leave. See, Li Yao and the others didn't expect Sima Yue to reject them directly and were stunned. "This slut." Fang Qi cursed hatefully. Although Yang Shi didn't curse directly, her clenched fists and angry gaze still showed her current mood. "Oh, this is strange. There are actually people who don't buy your words. It seems that the charm of Miss Yang is not invincible." The girl in the pink dress came up from behind with a smile. "Ichuyu, if you don't speak, no one will think you're mute." Only Yang Shi could talk to Ichuyu like this. Li Yao and Fang Qi didn't have the courage to challenge the Yi clan of the 15th state. "Oh, this is a big road, can't people speak?" Ichuyu said with a smile. "In Susu, don't you think so?" The woman in black who was talking to Lang Zhong glanced at the two of them and didn't speak, but she didn't leave either. Obviously, the three of them knew each other. When did the two of you fall to participate in this kind of competition? Yang Shi asked. Naturally, there are things that we like. Ichuyu said, however, I think, with your vision, you definitely don't like that thing, right, In Susu? Let's go. In Susu urged. Let's go, we agreed to be companions. Ichuyu said. She and In Susu left with the guards, not putting Yang Shi in their eyes at all. Guards! Yang Shi called. Mississippi, go and find out the reason why these two people went. Yes, Mississippi. Miss Yang, what should we do now? Go to Yi County. Something that could make those two women excited was definitely not an ordinary thing. Don't think that by saying this, she would not explore it. As long as it was something that those two women wanted, she would snatch it away. Besides, he followed Sima Yue to Yi County. Maybe he would go to watch the competition. If he saw that she won the competition, would he look at her in a different light? Chapter 1442. Soon, the news was found. Miss, the reason why the competition is being held in Yi County is because the He clan has taken out a 10,000-year-old profound moon fruit. The guard said. 10,000-year profound moon fruit. Li Yao and the others all exclaimed in a low voice. As alchemists, they naturally knew the role of the profound moon fruit. If one wanted to refine pills above the 10th grade, this profound moon fruit could increase the chances of success. Moreover, this was also an essential ingredient for many medicinal pills. They also knew that it was not easy for the profound moon fruit to mature, and it was often rare for it to be more than 1,000 years old. A profound moon fruit that was over 10,000 years old was probably the only one in this world. Miss Yang, I remember you said before that you've also been looking for a profound moon fruit recently. Feng Qi said, recalling their previous conversation. No wonder those two people came out. With such a thing, they still want to hide it from me. Yang Shi sneered. This mysterious moon fruit, I want it. Your alchemy skills are above those two, they definitely can't compare to you. Feng Qi seized the opportunity to flatter. In the last competition, the two of them were on par with me. After such a long time, I've improved, and so have they. Yang Shi was not too proud when facing these two people. Li Yao and Feng Qi thought about it and agreed. She had always regarded these two as her opponents. How bad could a person who could be her opponent be? However, I will definitely win against them. Yang Shi said this very confidently. Then let's go to Yi County. But what about Sima Yue? Feng Qi asked. Sima Yue, thinking of Lang Zhong smiling so happily at her, Yang Shi couldn't suppress the anger in her heart. However, the other party refused to go with them. Otherwise, she would have been able to go with him on the road. Miss Yang, should we send someone to? Li Yao asked. Yang Shi shook her head. With him here, we can't kill her. City Lord Lang? Yes. He didn't bring anyone with him. Just because we don't see anyone doesn't mean that there isn't anyone. Is not an ordinary person. Yang Shi said. He wasn't an ordinary person. This was what the family said. Then what should we do now? Feng Qi asked. Like I said, we're going to Yi County. Yang Shi said, if you get the mysterious moon fruit, you can refine pills for grandfather. If you give it to him on his birthday, you will definitely win his favor. As for Sima Yue, she won't live for long. However, the guard at the side didn't have any intention of retreating. What else? Replying to Miss, the He clan has another request. The guard said. What request? The one who gets first place will have to wake up the wife of the head of the He family in order to get the mystic moon fruit. The guard replied. Madam He? Yes. He had heard that the madam of the He family had been in a coma for 5 years for some unknown reason. Rumor has it that the patriarch of the He clan loves his wife as much as his life. In the past 5 years, he has exhausted all means but still failed to wake her up. Therefore, he took out this 10,000-year-old profound moon fruit, hoping that there is a way to wake his wife up. He's quite infatuated, Yang Shi said. What kind of family is the He family? The He clan is the strongest in the 64 prefectures. Although they can't compare to us, their strength can still be displayed. If they can be displayed, then they can't be offended casually. They all knew that there would be some stronger forces in the later prefectures. Because of various reasons, they didn't go to the front, but this didn't affect their status in the inner region. The Yin clan of the 49 prefectures was like this, and the He clan of the 64 prefectures seemed to be the same. "Which city is it in?" she asked. "Cord City." "Then let's go to Cord City." "Yang," she said, "you don't have to come with us. Go with the Fong family and check the Sima family and Sima Yue." Yes, Mississippi Yang Shi and the others rushed to Cord City, and Sima Yue and the others were also heading to Cord City. Originally, they were going to return to the Sima family, but Sima Yuan, who learned the news of their return, asked them to go to Cord City. Cord City. During this period of time, they had heard a lot, and many people were talking about the upcoming Cord City convention. Although it was called a convention, it was also a competition. Because all the participants were women, there would be many beautiful women. Therefore, there were many people who came to watch. Therefore, Cord City was also very lively recently. Sima Xiuqi said that the He clan was the strongest family in the 64 prefectures, but they were very low-key. The current patriarch loved his wife very much. It must be that his wife's coma made him helpless, so he came up with this idea this month. They had met before, but they didn't have much of a friendship. Sima Yuan said that they should go directly to Cord City. It must be to bring the younger generation of the family to participate in the Cord City convention. Since the cause of the coma can't be found, why don't they go to a doctor? Could it be that they can just find these alchemists and refiners? This was the doubt in her heart. "Miss, you don't know about this." When the waiter who was pouring tea heard her words, he said, "Patriarch, he has invited all the famous doctors, but they didn't get any useful methods. Madam, he is still in a coma." "The doctors can't do anything?" "Yes. Since the doctors can't do anything, these women are all professional masters." "What can they do?" Mu Si asked. "I heard that they went to find Master Yin Lin." But Master Yin Lin didn't see him directly, but told him that only women can solve this matter. That's why this convention was held. Only women can solve it. This was indeed Yin Lin's style of speaking. Sima Yue laughed secretly. Later on, I don't know what happened, but this convention was held in Cord City. It seems that it was changed at the last minute. "Guest, the tea is ready, please enjoy it." After the waiter finished speaking, he took the teapot and left. "Master, that Master Yin Lin, is he the one you said before who guided you to Ghost City?" Mu Si asked. "Then did he say that you would meet me there?" Sima Yue was stunned. Yin Lin didn't say it, but he told little helper Mu Si's name. This could be considered as telling her. "Why are you asking this?" she asked. "I want to see if our meeting was within his expectations." Mu Si said with a smile, "Speaking of which, I have to thank him. If it wasn't for him, you wouldn't have gone to Ghost City, and I wouldn't have met you." Sima Yue saw Mu Si's smile, but her mind remembered a sentence that Yin Lin once told her. The cycle of cause and effect. Why would she think of this? Was this a cause or an effect? She shook her head and threw away the thoughts in her heart. She felt that recently, she would always think of things that she usually wouldn't think about. It came suddenly, as if it was some kind of omen, and it made her heart jump. After drinking tea, the group of them continued to rush to Cord City. At that time, Sima Yuan's voice sounded more anxious, and she didn't know if something had happened. Chapter 1443. After taking 2 teleportation arrays, they finally arrived at Cord City. Just as they exited the Spirit Master Guild, they saw Sima Yuan and the others waiting outside. Sima Yue and the rest did not expect that they would come here to pick them up. They could not react in time. "Haha, you're finally here." When Sima Yuan saw Sima Yue, he walked over and hugged her, laughing happily. He didn't look as dignified as he usually did. The Sima family members behind them who had seen Sima Yuan and Sima Yue meet for the first time were stunned, while Sima Xiuqi and the others regained their senses. "Patriarch." They bowed to him. However, he ignored her. He hugged Sima Yue and said, "My child, you're finally here. If you didn't come, I would have gone to look for you." Sima Yue was out of breath from his hug. She patted his shoulder and said, "Great-grandfather, I can't breathe from your hug." Sima Yuan then let go of her. "Hee, I was too excited." Sima Yue took a step back after escaping from the clutches of the devil. She patted her chest as if she had just survived a disaster. Sima Lu Xian, who was at the side, saw how excited Sima Yuan was and bowed to him, "Patriarch." Sima Yuan's attention shifted from Sima Yue to him. Seeing his silver hair, he felt a little sad and patted his shoulder, saying, "It's good that you're back." Sima Lu Xian felt the power coming from his shoulder, and his heart was filled with mixed feelings as he said, "Yes." "Patriarch, why are you here?" Huang Yingying asked. "That's right. Great-grandfather, why are you here?" Sima Yue was curious too. Even if Sima Yuan wanted to see her, he wouldn't have brought so many people here. Therefore, there must be a reason. "How dare you? How can you not abide by the rules and call the family head great-grandfather?" An old man behind him berated loudly. Sima Yue was scolded for no reason. Her face darkened and she was unhappy. No one in her family had ever scolded her like this before. How dare a stranger scold her in public? She didn't come back to be bullied. However, before she could say anything, Huang Yingying shouted first. She pointed at the old man's nose and scolded, "Sima Tu, what are you barking for?" Sima Yue had an idea. Sima Tu? Wasn't that the one Grandpa mentioned, the one who was at odds with Grandpa's bloodline? He was also the biggest suspect in the family's attempts to persecute him. Thinking of this, she narrowed her eyes and carefully sized him up. Although he and his grandfather were only cousins, the two of them looked very similar. However, his grandfather looked cold and righteous, while he looked somewhat sinister. He didn't know if it was because he had given her a hint. "Huang Yingying, your granddaughter is so disgraceful. How dare she call the head of the household her great-grandfather?" Sima Tu was not intimidated by Huang Yingying's attitude at all. He continued to criticize Sima Yue. Huang Yingying wanted to scold him, but a soft little hand grabbed her arm. "Old grandpa, you're already so old. You should have some brains. Why do you keep saying things that show off your intelligence?" Sima Yue laughed. Although she was laughing, everyone could tell that she was scolding him. "How dare you?" The younger people besides Sima Tu scolded. "Why am I wrong?" Sima Yue's face darkened. "I'm not a member of the Sima family. Why do I have to follow your family's rules? To put it bluntly, I was invited by my great-grandfather. I'm considered your guest. Who do you think you are?" "You." Sima Tu wanted to continue scolding her, but Sima Yuan, who wanted to see Sima Yue's reaction, scolded him, "Shut up. Yue's right. Move to the side." The head of the household. Sima Tu looked at Sima Yuan in disbelief. Although he was usually temperamental and often scolded them, he would never scold them because of the younger generation. When he said that she was right, he meant that she was right when she said, "Who do you think you are?" "Great-grandpa, it seems that they are not satisfied with this title. Since that's the case, I'll call you the head of the Sima family from now on." Sima Yue looked at Sima Yuan, feeling wronged. Although Sima Yuan knew that she was purposely acting so wronged, he still felt sorry for her. He scolded Sima Tu, "Get lost. I shouldn't have brought you here." Head of the household. The rest of the family looked at him. Why was the head of the household so angry? Even if she was a talented younger generation, there was no need for him to scold the elders of the family like this, right? It wasn't easy for me to get her to agree to call me great-grandfather. If any of you continue to make noise, then scram back to the family. Sima Yuan's words were not only directed at Sima Tu, but also the rest of the family. Everyone looked at each other in dismay, then answered in unison. Sima Yuan turned around to look at Sima Yue and immediately smiled. "Yue, all right, I've scolded them. Don't be angry anymore." The corners of everyone's mouths twitched. This fawning look, was it really the same person who had scolded them just now? "Great-grandpa, you're the best." Sima Yue went up to hug Sima Yuan's arm and said with a smile. The others thought that Sima Yuan would shake off her hand. There had never been a younger generation who could overstep the rules like this before. This little girl was too daring. But the expected situation did not happen. Sima Yuan was even happier. Great-grandpa, why are you here? Sima Yue asked again. We wanted to see you quickly, so we came. Sima Yuan said and winked at her. The real reason couldn't be said? Sima Yue understood. Since he couldn't say it, then she would go back and say it. Great-grandpa, did you miss me, father and grandmother? If you had told me earlier, I would have come back earlier. She smiled. By the way, great-grandpa, this is my disciple Musi. This is Musi. Not bad, not bad. Sima Yuan said, where are your grandfather and brothers? They stayed in the valley. Sima Yue said, the inner region is indeed more dangerous than the outside. It's better to stay outside and be taken care of by the valley. Sima Yuan said, I think so too. Sima Yue replied. In fact, grandfather and Fatty Chu also said that they were willing to follow her here. If they felt that they were a burden, they could cultivate in the spirit pagoda and come out when they were stronger. However, she refused this time because she didn't know what she would encounter in the inner region. If they stayed in Heartbreak Valley, it would be safe and stable. And because Paramount Valley was there, they would not stop her from getting news. Sima Yuan brought them back to their residence before Sima Lu Xian asked, Patriarch, did something happen in Cord City? Chapter 1444. Sima Yuan looked at Sima Lu Xian. Please search to see the most complete. Update the fastest. Although there were people on our way back, if one were to look carefully, one would discover that they were mostly in groups. Sima Lu Xian said, moreover, the streets are not as lively as they should be when the conference is about to be held. Instead, there is a sense of caution everywhere. So, Patriarch, what happened? Furthermore, Sima Yuan had brought people to pick them up. Rather than saying that he was picking them up, it was more like he was protecting them. Sima Yuan looked at Sima Lu Xian. He had always been meticulous and wise since he was young. He had only walked back from the Spirit Master Guild, but he was able to discover all these. You guessed right. Something did happen in Cord City. However, now is not the time to talk about this. Sima Yuan looked at Sima Yue. Child, one of us is injured. Can you help treat him? Is it serious? Sima Yue was surprised. Yes, the family's doctors and alchemists are helpless. It's a good thing that you came back this time, otherwise I would have sent people to look for you. Sima Yuan said. He actually wanted to find her and bring her back? Were his injuries that serious? Then let's go and see them first. Sima Yue said. All right. Sima Yue didn't know why the Sima family was so anxious until she saw the patients, because all of them were women. Other than Sima Yun and Sima Chi who he knew, there were more than 10 other girls. They are all going to participate in this competition. Sima Yuan explained. No wonder, Sima Yue had an idea and said, let me check them first. Go quickly. Sima Yue urged. Sima Yue checked on them. None of them were in a serious condition, but it was troublesome. Yue, how is it? Huang Yingying asked worriedly when she saw Sima Yue frowning. It was Sima Yue's first time seeing Huang Yingying so worried. She guessed that there must be someone she cared about among the unconscious people. Grandma, their lives are not in danger. Sima Yue said. That's good. Huang Yingying patted her chest. When will they wake up? Can he participate in the competition? Sima Tu asked. His voice was very anxious. It seemed that he was very concerned about whether they could participate in the competition and not their bodies. He can wake up, but I'm afraid he won't be able to participate in the competition, Sima Yue said. Why? Why are they unconscious? Sima Yuan asked. They're poisoned. Sima Yue said, although he can wake up, it will take a month for the poison to be completely removed. The Chu City competition would start in less than half a month. It would take a month for him to recover, so he would definitely not be able to participate in the competition. Poisoned? How is that possible? A man with a handlebar mustache behind Sima Tu shouted. His words were filled with disbelief. Why not? Sima Yue glanced at him. She didn't treat those who didn't treat her well. If he was poisoned, how could I not tell? You're just a little girl, what can you tell? The man with the handlebar mustache said. That's because you're not skilled enough. Sima Yue retorted. If you're really good, how could you not tell that he was poisoned? It's not just me who couldn't tell, the poison masters who came to see him didn't say that he was poisoned. You're just a little girl, how can you be better than more than a dozen reputable poison masters? The man with the handlebar mustache said. Can you? It can't be nonsense, right? Someone echoed. That's right, master. How can a little girl be better than those people? Those doctors didn't say that they were poisoned. Sima Yuan furrowed his brows and glared at those people, saying, all of you shut up. Those people were embarrassed. Although they didn't speak, their eyes were still full of ridicule when they looked at Sima Yue. Yue, do you really need a month? Sima Yuan asked. Sima Yue saw that Sima Yuan's expression was a little solemn and said, I think that the other party didn't want them to participate in the competition, so they used this kind of poison. It's not fatal, but the detoxification process is slow. Great-grandfather, do you care a lot about this competition? It's not that I care about this competition, but I need the prize of this competition, the 10,000-year-old profound moon fruit. Sima Lu Feng's voice came from outside, then he and Sima Lu Yun walked in. Profound moon fruit? Yes. If we win this competition, the family can get the profound moon fruit and the Methria fruit. Sima Lu Feng saw that Sima Yue's gaze became sharp and he swallowed the rest of his words. Why are you looking at me like that? I remember that when you asked me to get the Methria fruit, you said that my father was chased out of the family. Sima Yue stared at him, her gaze revealing a dangerous message. Your father was chased out of the family. Sima Tu said, your father is no longer in the family tree. Sima Yue looked back at Sima Lu Xian, there was doubt in her eyes. Didn't her father leave by himself? After he left, didn't her grandparents bring people to look for him? If he was chased out of the family, would the family allow it? Sima Lu Xian nodded at her and said, I'm indeed no longer in the family tree. What happened at that time was to show that he was punished. Although he was removed from the family tree, the patriarch and some people still regarded him as a member of the Sima family. But to others he was chased out of the family. So my father is no longer in the family tree. Sima Yue dragged her voice. If that's the case, then why did we come back? She got up, looked at those people and said, then I don't need to treat these people. If you don't want to, then don't go back. Sima Lu Xian's tone was indifferent. He didn't have any opinion on whether she went back or not. Aya, Yue, don't be angry. How can you take these bastards' words seriously? Sima Yuan coaxed, Great-grandfather has been waiting for you to come back every day. How can you bear to break my heart and disappoint me? The corners of everyone's mouths twitched. Patriarch, you're too biased. Sima Tu and the others were even angrier. Because of this silly girl, they had been scolded many times today. These people said that we were chased out. I don't want to go back. My father doesn't want to go back either. Unless you chase them out, we won't go back. Sima Yue threw a tantrum. Anyway, in these people's eyes, she was just a little girl. It was normal for her to be willful and mischievous. Since there was no way to reconcile, then let them be disgusted first. Unexpectedly, Sima Yuan immediately responded, Okay. As long as you come back, anything is fine. Patriarch, how can you coax the younger generation like this? This book came from Chapter 1445. Book title, Chapter Make a Deal. Author, Patriarch. Although they knew that with the clan elders and elders around, Sima Yuan couldn't really chase them out of the clan, but even so, they were still shocked. I shouldn't have brought you here. Get out of here. Scram, scram, scram. Sima Yuan said as he waved his hand impatiently. Sima Tu and the others glared at Sima Yue but did not dare to say anything. They flicked their sleeves and left angrily. Sima Yue watched them leave and smiled at Sima Xiuqi and Huang Ying. From the moment they met, she realized that her grandfather and grandmother were not happy. They looked at Sima Tu with anger and forbearance. Now that he was gone, they didn't have to suffer anymore. Alright, now that those people have left, Yue, tell great-grandfather now, do they really need that long to recover? Sima Yuan said. Sima Yue said, the poison in their bodies is called 100 days of sleep. The poisoned person will fall into a coma for 100 days, consuming their life force in their sleep. After 100 days, they will lose their life because their life force has been exhausted. 100 days of sleep? I've never heard of this poison before. It's a very ancient poison. The effect of the poison makes a person look like they're in a deep sleep, so most people can't tell. Furthermore, its ingredients were very rare, and the antidote was very difficult to concoct. Sima Yue said, if I didn't see it by chance, I wouldn't have been able to diagnose it. Can you detoxify it? I can develop an antidote, but as I said earlier, it will take a month. Sima Yue said, moreover, they have been in a coma for more than half a month. Even if they were detoxified, their vitality would be greatly depleted. I'm afraid it would take some time for them to recover. Her words were equivalent to completely denying the possibility of the Sima family participating in this competition. Thinking of this, disappointment flashed in Sima Yuan's eyes. Sima Yue caught his disappointment and asked, great-grandfather, do you really want the mystic moon fruit? Over the years, we have been looking for some medicinal herbs. The Methria fruit that you asked them to bring back is one of them. After all these years of hard work, we have almost finished searching. Now we are only missing this profound moon fruit. Sima Yuan said. Refining pills? Sima Yue said with certainty. We obtained a pill formula. With it, our old ancestor will be able to advance. Sima Yuan said, our old ancestor has been stuck at the high paragon rank for a long time, unable to enter the grand paragon rank. Now that his time is almost up, if he still can't advance, I'm afraid. The Sima family's strength had been reduced by a lot. If even their ancestor was gone, they would most likely be suppressed by other forces. However, once he broke through, the strength of the Sima family would increase by a lot. One had to know that an expert was extremely important to a family. No wonder Sima Yuan cared so much about this competition. Sima Yue contacted Little Spirit. Little Spirit, is there a mystic moon fruit in the Spirit Pagoda? Little Spirit was busy brewing the new wine and casually replied. Is there one more than 10,000 years old? 10,000 years old? Little Spirit sneered. Not to mention 10,000 years old, there are even 100,000 years old. Really? It grows on the mountain and no one picks it, so there should be one. I don't have time to see it now, you can sense it yourself. Little Spirit said and ignored her. Sima Yue sensed it and found the mystic moon fruit, and not just one, but a whole patch. On the cliff, there were densely packed saplings of the mystic moon fruit. There were at least 1 or 2 mystic moon fruits on each tree, and the age was not low. If it was outside, someone would definitely be overjoyed to see this scene, but here, it was just a very ordinary cliff. After confirming that there was this in the Spirit Pagoda, she felt more confident. She did not take it out immediately, but thought for a while and said, Great-grandfather, don't worry if you can't get this, I know where else. Really? Where is it? Don't ask about this, I will think of a way. Sima Yue said. Won't it be too dangerous for you to get it? Why don't you tell me, I will send someone to... Great-grandfather, the other party doesn't want people to know. Sima Yue said, so, don't worry, I will get this. All right then. If there is anything you need, just tell me. Sima Yuan stated. I will. Now I will suppress the toxicity for them first, otherwise before I develop the antidote, their vitality will be eaten away. Okay. I want to use a needle, you guys. We will wait for you outside. Sima Yuan took people out, and Lang Zhong, who had been silent, hesitated for a moment and stood still. Sima Yue glanced at him and said, What are you doing? I want to see how you suppress this 100 days of sleep for them. Lang Zhong said. Sima Yue stared at him and said faintly, You know about the 100 days of sleep. I know. Lang Zhong did not hide it. Then do you know the antidote? I know. However, I want to see how you detoxify it. Lang Zhong said. Are you a poison master? Half a poison master. Sima Yue speculated in her heart about the authenticity of his words. I have to perform acupuncture and undress. You can't stay here, she said. However, I can tell you the method as a condition in exchange for the antidote. A method of suppression, and you want to exchange it with me for the antidote to the 100 days of sleep. Lang Zhong raised his eyebrows. How can there be such a good thing? Yes, that's what I'm curious about. Sima Yue said, This is a good thing for you. Even if you don't tell me the antidote, as long as I study it for a few days, I can still develop the antidote. But you can't. If I don't tell you my method, can you think of it? Sima Yue smiled, confident but not arrogant. Seeing the smile on her face, Lang Zhong was stunned, and then said, Then it depends on whether your method is so attractive to me. Then you go out and come in later to check the results. Sima Yue said. But Lang Zhong turned around and went out, waiting to see the results of her suppression. Once, someone also wanted to suppress this, but, by the time he developed the antidote, that person had already left forever. Suppressing them was simply impossible. When he came outside the house, Sima Yuan cupped his hands towards him and said, I didn't expect you to be the city lord of Tangerine City. I was really disrespectful just now. He already knew that he was going to follow Sima Yue. Although he felt a little strange, since she agreed, he would not drive him away. Sima family is too polite. Lang Zhong also returned the greeting. In the past, when he saw this kind of family head greeting him, he would ignore it, but since it was her great-grandfather, he had to give him some face. Gentleman's alliance. Chapter 1446. Although Sima Yuan wanted to ask about the details of Sima Lu Xian, due to Lang Zhong's presence, they could only talk about other things. Patriarch, who did this to us? Huang Yingying asked. Sima Yuan shook his head. Because of the recent events, many people know about this matter. There are also many people who don't want us to improve. Therefore, there were many people who wanted to make a move on them. Are those people outside being cautious because something happened to the Sima family, or did something similar happen to other people? Sima Lu Xian asked. She said that she wasn't a member of the Sima family, so Sima Lu Xian changed the way he addressed her. Because of us. Sima Yuan said, the temptation of a 10,000-year-old profound moon fruit is too great. They naturally have to ensure the safety of the participants. Indeed. However, the profound moon fruit can't be obtained just by winning the competition, right? They said that they had to treat young Madam He, but I think they automatically ignored this. This patriarch, he is really an affectionate person. Lang Zhong sighed, his eyes were gloomy, no one knew what he was thinking. Time passed by as they talked. After a few hours, Sima Yu opened the door of the house. How is it? Huang Yingying came to her and asked worriedly. It's under control. They're all awake now, but they're very weak. Sima Yue said. Really? He's already awake? I'll go in and take a look. Sima Yue did not stop her. Huang Yingying pushed the door open and entered excitedly. She heard someone call her mother after Huang Yingying went in. It turned out that his aunt was one of them. No wonder she was so anxious before. Let's go in and take a look. The others followed in, leaving Lang Zhong and Sima Yue resting against the pillar. He really succeeded in suppressing it? You can take a look if you don't believe me. I'm honest, Sima Yue said confidently. Lang Zhong didn't seem to believe it. He bypassed her and entered the house. Sure enough, he saw that the person who was still unconscious just now had opened her eyes. Although he was weak, he was indeed awake. He was a little out of control. He quickly walked to the bedside and grabbed a woman's hand to check. Then he was stunned. He really had it under control? Lang Zhong, what are you doing? Huang Yingying shouted. However, Lang Zhong ignored her and sat by the bed in a daze. Lang Zhong suddenly stood up and came to another woman. He examined her and the result was the same. It's really possible? It's really possible? Lang Zhong muttered. Sima Yue came in and saw him in a daze. Soulless? But Lang Zhong. Huang Yingying was furious and her voice suddenly rose. Grandma, he is checking their bodies. Sima Yue said. Is he also a doctor? When Lang Zhong heard Sima Yue's voice, he turned his head and looked at her. He moved his lips but said nothing. How is it? Sima Yue asked. Why? Lang Zhong asked instead of answering. But why what? Sima Yue was confused. Lang Zhong looked at her with hurt in his eyes. Why didn't you appear earlier? If someone had been able to suppress the poison for her back then, would she have been able to wait for his antidote? He stood up and with a thought, a pill recipe appeared in his hand. He came to Sima Yue, put the pill recipe in her hand, and then bypassed her and went out. Sima Yue looked down at the pill recipe in her hand and smiled. He agreed to make a deal. Yue, what is this? Sima Yue raised the pill recipe and said, the antidote to 100 days of sleep. I'll refine the antidote first. After speaking, without waiting for others to speak, she turned around and went out. She went to an empty room next to her, set up an enchantment barrier and began to refine the pill. Mother, is she the daughter of little brother? The woman who was first examined by Lang Zhong asked in a low voice. Yes. Huang Yingying replied. How do you feel? I'm just a little weak. Sima Liuyuan's voice was very weak. When she woke up just now, she saw a little girl. She smiled at her and said that she was too weak now, don't talk, and went to treat others. That face was 70% similar to Yukuluo's, except for their child, she couldn't think of anyone else. What a promising child. By the way, mother, where is little brother? Huang Yingying looked back and when everyone stepped aside, she saw a silver-haired person with a smile on the corner of her mouth. Ninth sister, I'm back. The word, ninth sister, made Sima Luyuan's tears fall instantly. Sima Yuan looked at them and said to the others, since everyone has woken up, let's not just stand here. Let's go out first. The others in the clan left, leaving Huang Yingying and the others here. Now that everyone had woken up, they had to find out who did it. Sima Yue was refining pills in the house. It was her first time refining this pill, so she was still a little unfamiliar with it. It took her 2 tries before she succeeded. Looking at the pill in her hand, she remembered Lang Zhong's eyes that were full of pain. His reaction was so big, it should be because someone very important had been poisoned by this poison. And he couldn't develop the antidote in time. That question, was he asking her why she suppressed it? Sigh. She sighed in her heart, put away the pills in her hand and on the table, removed the enchantment, and opened the door to go out. Lang Zhong stood in the yard and kept looking at her door, which made her stunned. Well, she couldn't feel his breath every time, so it was normal for her not to find him outside the door. Done? He asked, his voice hoarse. She had been refining for a few days, he shouldn't have been standing here like this for the past few days, right? Yeah. Sima Yue took out more and threw it into his hand. Lang Zhong caught the jade bottle, poured out a pill, and saw the milky white pill in his palm. His heart was in turmoil. It seems that what you said is true. He threw the pill back. Sima Yue smiled and turned into the big room. She could refine the antidote in such a short time, which showed that she had a certain understanding of these things. In this case, even without his pill formula, she could develop the antidote in a while. So, she didn't lie to him. If he didn't tell her, she could also develop the antidote. But he didn't know how she suppressed it. Sima Yue came to the room and saw Huang Yingying and a few women with their hair tied up by the bed. When they saw her enter, their faces were a little excited. Yue, has the antidote been refined? Huang Yingying asked. Yeah. Sima Yue nodded. The first batch has been refined. For the ones that are needed later, I will refine them again. She took out the pills and distributed them to the women, asking them to feed them. That's great. With the antidote, you're all right. Lang Zhong stood in the yard, looking at the group of people in the room who couldn't help but be a little lost. He didn't have the chance to feel such joy at the beginning. Reading background default settings: classic light blue, classic light gray, classic green, classic bright yellow, dark blue, ocean, autumn green, classic simple, elegant, red powder, family, red talk, thick sea, wide sky, heartbroken, past, snow, white world, gray world. Font color default settings: white, red, green, blue, brown. Font size default settings: small, medium, large. Speed 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 1 0. Mouse scroll description: 1 to 10. 1 is the slowest, 10 is the fastest. Chapter 1447. Is this really the antidote? Amidst the cheers, a questioning voice sounded, instantly extinguishing everyone's enthusiasm. Several people were stunned as they looked at the person who spoke. Miao Shihua, what do you mean? Huang Yingying shouted when she saw her precious granddaughter being questioned. That's right, Miao Shihua said. Even the poison master said that it wasn't poisoning. Do you think it's just because you say it's poisoning? Moreover, it was said to be a very powerful and long-lost poison. Then, was the antidote reliable? How can someone who didn't grow up in the family treat the family so well? When she said that, the people who were excited just now started to have doubts. Well, Yingying, what Shihua said makes sense. Our children are our lives, we can't afford any mistakes, someone said. You, grandmother, don't be angry. Sima Yue grabbed Huang Yingying and said, if they don't believe us, there's nothing we can say. We're not the ones begging them. If they don't think it's trustworthy, then just don't use it. I won't force it. She knew that Miao Shihua was Sima Tu's wife and was from the same generation as her grandmother. Yue. Huang Yingying's face was cold. She didn't like those people. His granddaughter had saved someone out of kindness, but they were doubting her. It was really infuriating. It's nothing. Sima Yue said, it doesn't matter to us whether they eat or not. With that, she looked at the women and said, since you don't believe me, then don't give it to them. However, I'm only helping you this time because of my great-grandfather. If you choose not to believe me this time and come to beg me later, then I won't be so easy to talk to. You wouldn't help me even if I begged you later. Huang Yingying said. Grandmother, give the antidote to Aunt first. Sima Yue said. All right. Huang Yingying gave the antidote to Sima Luyuan and asked with concern, how is it? Sima Luyuan smiled and said, I feel much better. Although she said so, those who doubted her did not believe her when they saw that she was still weak. Some people who had a good relationship with Huang Yingying saw that she had given all the pills to Sima Luyuan and also fed the pills to their children. But those people didn't move. Since you don't believe me, then return the pill to me. Sima Yue extended her hand towards them. However, Miao Shihua tightly grasped the medicinal pill in her hand and did not intend to return it to her. She just wasn't sure, but that didn't mean that it was completely useless. She wanted to take it to the poison master later and give it to her daughter after confirming it. The others thought the same, so none of them returned it. Sima Yue understood what they were thinking, but she did not intend to let them take advantage of her. Me little 7. As soon as he finished speaking, the others only saw two shadows flashing past their eyes. When they looked again, there was a young man and a young woman beside Sima Yue. That young man looked exactly like Sima Yue. It was obvious that he was a smaller version. Yu pills. Little 7 and Me passed the pills to Sima Yue. Only then did they realize that the pills in their hands were gone. Sima Yue kept the pills and praised, well done. Sima Yue, what do you mean? Miao Shihua cried out. Since you don't want this pill, I naturally have to take it back. Sima Yue said, this used up a lot of medicinal herbs, it's very expensive. Since you've already given it to us, there's no reason for you to take it back. This pill is mine, why can't I take it back? Sima Yue said, the medicinal herbs are mine, and I'm the one who refined it. Your Sima family didn't fork out a single cent. So, if I'm willing to give it to you, I'll give it to you. If you want to give it to me, I'll take it back. Miao Shihua and the others were furious. What if that was the real antidote? Mother, I feel much better. Sima Luyuan suddenly said, her voice was much louder. This pill is starting to take effect, so you feel better. Sima Yue explained, but it's not enough to take the antidote once, you have to take it 2 more times. Thank you, Yue. Sima Luyuan said gratefully. Aunt, you're too polite. Mother, I also feel much better. Another girl who took the antidote said. I also feel that my body has some strength. Me too. The girls who had eaten the pills were all talking at once, and each one of them was much more energetic than before. Those women were happy. It seemed that the antidote was really useful. It's really useful. They cried. Ha, luckily we believed her. Those who were led by Miao Shihua were regretting it. If they knew that it was true, they would have believed her. Now it was great, the antidote was taken back. It was all Miao Shihua's fault, they didn't think of this at all. If she didn't instigate them, they wouldn't have hesitated. Her line and Sima Xiuqi's line had old grudges, so she instigated them to not believe Sima Yue. It was all her fault. Otherwise, how could their daughter and granddaughter still be like that? With complaints in their hearts, the way they looked at her was not very good. Miao Shihua was annoyed by their stares. She glared at them and said, I didn't force you, why are you blaming me? Besides, I don't know if this antidote is useful or not. Whether it's true or not, we will naturally know later. Huang Yingying said, You will get better soon. Sima Luyuan nodded, her eyes flashing. After lying down for so many days, she was finally going to get better. You, grandmother, I'm going to refine the antidote for the second stage. After Sima Yue finished speaking, she bowed to Huang Yingying, turned around and left. She went out and wanted to find Lang Zhong, but found that he was nowhere to be found. She curled her lips, this guy left? Well, then I'll tell him my way when we meet again. She went back to her room, set up an enchantment, entered the spirit pagoda, adjusted her breathing and restored her divine sense, and then spent a few days refining medicinal pills. She saw that it was still early, so she took out the refining manual in the spirit pagoda and began to read it. At this time, outside the spirit pagoda, those people had already started to make a fuss. You idiot! Sima too slapped Miao Shihua to the ground. How do I know that her antidote is really useful? Miao Shihua also felt wronged. She is Sima Xiuqi's granddaughter. You are confused. Even if she is Sima Xiuqi's granddaughter, there is still Sima Luyuan. Sima too shouted, she doesn't care about others, but can she harm Sima Luyuan? Miao Shihua was taken aback. Yes, Huang Yingying may let Sima Yue harm her own daughter, but would she harm her own daughter? Chapter 1448. After thinking this through, Miao Shihua was filled with regret. What should we do now? That slut refuses to treat she now. Miao Shihua cried. Seeing that Sima Luyuan and those girls' bodies were getting better and better, Sima Lu Shi and the others were still lying there powerlessly. Her heart ached just looking at him. What else can we do? Of course we have to find Sima Yue to cure them. Sima Tu said, but that slut has gone into hiding and doesn't want to see us at all. Huang Yingying, that slut, directly said that she would not treat us anymore. Miao Shihua said, feeling wronged. Now that they say they're not willing, the others definitely won't agree. Sima Tu said, however, those people won't do it. She and the others are surnamed Sima. Miao Shihua's eyes lit up. That's right. Even if Huang Yingying and the others don't agree, as long as the family says so, they have to agree even if they don't. Then why aren't you doing it? Sima Tu glared at her. Okay, I'll do it right away. Miao Shihua left. As long as she could save her daughter, she would do anything. Sima Yue was reading in the spirit pagoda. When she was almost done, she took out the items in the pagoda and started practicing. She went to the storehouse and found a cauldron for refining tools. She also took out some materials that were easier to refine. Following the method in the book, she melted the materials into a liquid, filtered out the dregs, and put them in a container. This was a very peculiar container. When the liquid was placed inside, there was a colorless liquid gauge on the outside. Based on the height of the liquid, the purity of the extracted material could be determined. We're only halfway there. It doesn't look good, Sima said. It's really not that good. Little Spirit appeared beside her. My previous master, when he refined for the first time, he reached 60 points, which is 10 points higher than you. That's true. Sima said, it seems like I have to practice harder. This is innate talent, you can't catch up. Little Spirit said disdainfully. Sima pulled him into her arms and used her other hand to caress him. How long had it been since she last saw such a look of disdain? When she first met him, everything she did was despised by him. Later on, as she became more and more powerful, she gradually forgot about the past. Who asked you to look down on me? This is what you get for looking down on me. Only when she messed up the sparse hair on his head did she release him in satisfaction. Little Spirit escaped from the devil's claws and hurriedly hid far away. With a sour face, he said, what I said was the truth. Your innate talent is not enough. You won't be able to catch up the day after tomorrow. I am your master now. Even if my talent is not good, I am still your master. Sima was not angry. So, what you need to do is to help me learn how to refine weapons as soon as possible, not to doubt my talent. Humph! Little Spirit crossed his arms and turned his head to the side. Aya, don't be so arrogant. Is there any way to increase Yu's talent in refining? Ling Long ran over and pulled Little Spirit's hand, saying, when she learns how to refine weapons, she'll be able to repair me sooner. Back then, when Sima discovered an ancient era's she had promised her that she would increase her strength. So, no matter who it was, no one could stop Yu from refining weapons. Innate talent is what it is. How can it be changed? Little Spirit said. If innate talent is not good, then the day after tomorrow can make up for it. You must have a way, right? Ling Long shook his hand and acted spoiled. Diligence can make up for stupidity. Look at Fatty Chu. Such a stupid person can become a master armament. As long as she works hard, she won't be too bad. Little Spirit said. What he did not say was that his original master was a pervert. It was because of his high innate talent that he created Shirtian and Ling Long. Ever since he fell, no one was able to surpass him. What Sima did not know was that the average person's first refinement would only have a purity of 30 to 40 points. Those with good innate talent could exceed 40 points. There were people who reached 50 points, but it was very rare. Little Spirit knew this, but he did not tell her and let her mess up her hair. Although Sima felt that her innate talent was not high, it was not as bad as what Little Spirit said. After all, when she was learning other things, he also looked down on her like this. If it was really bad, he probably would have directly told her not to learn it. It was simply a waste of time. Thinking about this, she was in a good mood. She took the other oars and went to practice. After a few days, she increased the purity of the materials she refined by a few points. Seeing her results, she was very satisfied. Today, she was practicing again when Little Spirit came to tell her that something happened outside. Sima thoughts moved and she could clearly see the situation outside. After looking for less than a minute, her face darkened. Hee, you think this is enough? She sneered and said that she would clean up the place and go out. You actually dare to bully grandfather and grandmother like this. Looks like these people are going to be miserable. The beasts had already predicted these people's fate. Sima came out of the spirit pagoda, removed the enchantment and opened the door with a bang. What's with the noise? Don't you know that I'm refining pills? Once she came out, she shouted at the people in the courtyard. Don't you want to save those people? That's good. You can cure the poison yourselves. I'm not doing it. The people in the courtyard were stunned. They were here for her to cure the poison, not for her to go on strike. You're Sima Yue? A white-haired old woman looked at Sima Yue. Her eyes were cold, causing people to feel a bone-chilling coldness. Who are you? Sima Yue looked at the old woman. She was the one who scolded her grandparents the most. This person couldn't be her great-grandmother, right? If so, she didn't want to admit it. I'm an elder of the Sima family. I'm also your great-grandfather's aunt. As the old woman spoke, a wave of pressure came towards her. However, Sima Yue easily blocked it. It's okay, it's okay. Sima Yue patted her chest. What's okay? Everyone saw her exaggerating and asked. It's good that this ugly person isn't my great-grandmother. Sima Yue said, I've always said that my grandfather was handsome. How could he be born with such an ugly face? How dare you? Jiang Shui was still wondering why Sima Yue wasn't intimidated by her pressure. When she heard her say such unpleasant words, she was furious. Did I? I heard you scolding my grandparents as beasts. Other than my great-grandfather and great-grandmother, who has the right to scold them? Now I understand that you must be jealous that my great-grandmother is too beautiful. That's why you scolded my grandparents. Who asked you to be so ugly? Chapter 1449. What does this have to do with your great-grandmother? Of course it has something to do with it. Sima Yue said, my great-grandmother is too beautiful, that's why she gave birth to such a handsome man like my grandfather. You're just jealous of my great-grandmother's beauty, that's why you don't like my grandfather and the others. That's why you said such malicious words. As she spoke, she nodded as if it was true. Nonsense. Jiang Shui had never been insulted by a junior like this. The anger in her heart was difficult to suppress. She wanted to suppress her with her coercion, but she remembered that her coercion had no effect on her. Mother, now is not the time to talk about this. It has been a few days. Those people can already get out of bed. She. Miao Shihua's eyes were filled with tears. On one hand, she really felt sorry for her daughter, and on the other hand, she was regretful. Jiang Shui glanced at her, and the reproach in her eyes made her lower her head. If it wasn't for her, why would she need to come forward? Reproach was reproach, but she still had to protect her juniors. You, go and detoxify she and the others. She pointed at Sima Yue and said. That arrogant look didn't look like she was asking for help at all. Not going. Sima Yue didn't even bother with her and directly rejected her. Why? I said before that if I don't detoxify them at that time, I won't do it again. Sima Yue said, I see that you're full of confidence. Didn't you say that you're going to find a poison master to detoxify them? Since you know that it's 100 days of sleep, don't tell me you have no way to develop an antidote? Miao Shihua and those people didn't say anything. She couldn't say that it was true, right? Since you know how to detoxify them, go quickly. Jiang Shui urged. That tone was as if it was her honor to treat Sima Lu Shi. At this time, those people really thought so. Sima Lu Xian was kicked out of the family. They heard that they wanted to come back. If they didn't please them, they wouldn't agree. In their eyes, now was the best opportunity to please them. If you want to go back to the Sima family, you have to detoxify Sima Lu Shi and the others. Ah. Sima Yue laughed. Why? The people lying inside are the people of the Sima family. Detoxifying them is what you should do. Really? Sima Yue glanced at Jiang Shui in disdain. They are indeed from the Sima family, but I'm not from your family. You have no right to order me around. To save or not to save is up to me, not you. If that's the case, you and your father can forget about returning to the family. If you obediently detoxify she, and the others, we might consider it. Jiang Shui raised her chin, as if she was bestowing a gift upon them. Who said that I'm going back? Sima Yue said, my dad and I are fine like this. If everyone in the family is like you, even if you invite us, we won't go back. So, if you want to use this to threaten me to detoxify your granddaughter, stop dreaming in broad daylight, lest others say that you're old. Impudent. How could Jiang Shui not hear that she was scolding her? A wave of spiritual energy attacked her. Huang Yingying and Sima Yue moved at the same time and condensed their spiritual energy to block the attack. However, they were a level lower than Jiang Shui and couldn't resist her attack at all. They could only weaken her attack a lot. Seeing the spirit energy enveloping them, everyone present was stunned. Even Jiang Shui herself was the same. She didn't want to kill them. She also wanted Sima Yue to detoxify her granddaughter. If she killed her, then who would detoxify her? That pill recipe was not Sima Yue's, but the city lord of Tangerine City. In other words, Lang Zhong also knew the way to detoxify. When the time comes, she could go to him and detoxify Sima Lushi. Thinking of this, she calmed down. Since they were already dead, there was no need for her to feel sorry for them. It just happened to follow her thoughts for many years. Her son, daughter-in-law and great-granddaughter were killed. Unfortunately, she could no longer see them, but she could reunite with them in the ghost realm. With excitement in her heart, she laughed out loud. Seeing you so excited, we are embarrassed to interrupt your good mood. Sima Yue's voice came, making her smile freeze on her face. How could it be? They didn't die. The dust splashed on the ground dissipated, revealing the 3 calm people inside. Spacelock. The people present saw them and exclaimed in a low voice. Yes, the news that was sent back before said that she was an array master and had great control over space. This space lock was amazing. Sima Yue lifted the space lock. Originally, it was impossible for her to take this move with her strength. However, the separation of her grandparents weakened its power, allowing them to survive. What are you doing? Sima Yuan's voice came, and then a group of people poured into the yard. Sima Yue and Sima Xiuqi were blasted into a large pit, and only the ground where they stood was still intact. Everyone understood what was going on at a glance. Jiang Shui, you actually attacked Yue. Sima Yuan was so angry that his face turned black, and he showed no mercy. That was his precious granddaughter. An old woman like her actually dared to kill her? When Jiang Shui saw Sima Yuan coming in with people, her surprise faded and she calmed down. Faced with his questioning, she was not flustered and said, "Why, I can't kill her? She is my great-granddaughter. Are you going against me by killing her? So what?" Jiang Shui was not flustered. The strong are respected, the weak dare to insult and provoke the strong, then they should bear the anger of the strong. Sima Yuan, don't tell me you have forgotten the rules of survival in our world. To hell with your rules of survival. You dare to touch my great-granddaughter, that's the same as touching me. You want to kill her? Fine, let's fight. Sima Yuan did not care about his identity as the head of the Sima family, and stood in front of Sima Yue and looked at Jiang Shui, ready to attack. Jiang Shui wanted to scold him for being shameless. He was stronger than her, and he had the nerve to say that he wanted to fight with her. Sima Yuan was not embarrassed at all. You dare to bully the weak and attack my great-granddaughter, I can do the same to you. Mother, what we need to do now is not to fight with the patriarch, but to think of a way to cure she and the others. Miao Shihua said softly. I know. Jiang Shui looked at Sima Yuan and said, since the patriarch is here, let's talk about this. What right does your great-granddaughter have to detoxify the poison from your branch families and not our branch families? What are your intentions? Sima Yue laughed coldly in her heart. This accusation was too big. They did not believe her in the first place, and she was unwilling. Now that she said this, it became Sima Yuan ostracizing those from the branch family. If these words were heard by the clansmen, the consequences would be very serious. Chapter 1450. There were also people from other branches here. When they heard Jiang Shui's words, sure enough, some of their expressions changed. Their juniors were probably among the ranks of those people. Yue Ma wanted to step forward to explain, but Sima Yuan answered her first. I told you a long time ago, don't just stay at home and cultivate. Pay more attention to other things and use your brain. That way, you won't become an idiot. Why don't you listen to me? Look at it now, it's really like this. Sima Yuan said regretfully. The others did not dare to laugh because of Jiang Shui's prestige in the family. However, Sima Yue did not hold back and laughed out loud. Great-grandfather was cursing in a roundabout way. To be able to say something like that, wasn't he brainless? Sima Yuan. I can hear you, why are you shouting so loudly? Sima Yuan dug his ears. Am I wrong? Was it right to scold someone? You're a furball. However, before Jiang Shui could say anything, he continued. Yue had clearly refined everyone's antidote pills and distributed them to all of you. But what about you? She was suspicious of this, and that was why she didn't give those maidservants any antidote pills. When it comes to you, it's like Yue only detoxifies the people from these branches, not your people. Tell me, have you become stupid from practicing martial arts? Is that really the case? The elders asked the people around them. Those women lowered their heads and didn't say anything, silently agreeing with Sima Yuan's words. If that's the case, then she can't be blamed. He was referring to Sima Yue. Originally, there was no need for the people of the clan to come out for such a thing as the Chu City Convention, but because they had sent letters home in the past few days, saying that something had happened here. They also said that because of the family, the matter could not be solved, so they came together. However, he did not expect things to turn out like this. When they returned, they would definitely teach those women a lesson. How dare they lie about the truth? Those women received the reproachful eyes of their ancestors and did not dare to speak. Although they knew that they would be punished when they returned, this was the only way to get them to come and pressure Sima Yue to detoxify their daughters and granddaughters. Sima Yue thought that those angry people would blame her, but she didn't expect them to be so reasonable. Even if it was their fault the first time, but later on, when they repeatedly expressed their apologies and asked her to detoxify the maidservants, Sima Xiuqi and Huang Ying deliberately obstructed and evaded. What can we say about this? Isn't that because they don't want to detoxify the poison? That's not right. Since they have already apologized, saving a life is more meritorious than building a 7-storied pagoda. Xiuqi, what's more, this is the younger generation of the family. To be able to call Sima Xiuqi by his name, it seemed like he was from the same generation as Sima Zhiyuan. He really didn't expect that such a matter would cause so many elders of the family to appear. It seemed like the other party wanted to make a big deal out of this matter. So be it. Anyway, a barefooted person is not afraid of someone with shoes. The bigger the commotion, the more difficult it would be for the other party to get off the stage. That's not right. She didn't want to see her grandfather being wronged and said, "We agreed on this at the time. Don't regret your choice." It was their choice, so why blame my grandfather? Besides, I've been refining pills in my room these days and haven't seen them at all. I didn't even see them apologize. Her words were very strong and directly slapped that person's face. However, that person wasn't angry and said, "If that's the case, then we apologize to you for what happened. Please detoxify the poison for the girls." After speaking, he even bowed to Sima Yue. What? The Sima family actually had such reasonable elders? She thought that they were all like Jiang Shui. She couldn't get angry with them, but she wasn't willing to just let it go. So her face was still ugly. "I'm not a member of the Sima family. Don't think that I'll give in just because you said that." She snorted. That old man smiled and said, "Of course we know. So, we're not asking you to treat them voluntarily. We're willing to pay you. My payment isn't cheap. Everyone outside knows this. Yes, we'll definitely pay you a satisfactory payment." The old man smiled. Seeing that the other party's attitude was so good, Sima Yue said reluctantly, "All right then, I have to see the payment first. Moreover, I won't treat this person's granddaughter." She pointed at Jiang Shui and said, "She wanted to kill me just now. I don't dare to deal with such a person." "You?" Jiang Shui was furious. She would treat others but not herself. "As you wish." The old man didn't force her. Anyway, that person wasn't his junior. If Jiang Shui liked to cause trouble, then she would solve this matter herself. The mess in the courtyard told of what had happened just now. It wasn't strange that Sima Yue would make such a request. After all, which professional master didn't have their own temper? Not to mention such an outstanding junior like her. Sima Yue finally smiled. This old man really knew how to act. If that's the case, then let's talk about the payment. It's not that I want to say this, but the longer this 100 days of sleep poison is delayed, the more damage it will cause to the body and the harder it will be to recover. After all, this consumes one's life force. Moreover, the herbs are extremely precious. Not only are they good herbs, but they are also very rare and hard to find. Sigh, it's hard to say for now. You guys go inside and I'll explain it to you guys. The corners of everyone's lips twitched. Her style had changed too quickly. Didn't she say so much just to extort a sum of money from them? But what could they do? Those women were too short-sighted. They had to pay this sum of money even if they didn't want to. Jiang Shui saw that they had all entered the house and only the people she brought were left. She was so angry that she stomped her feet. This little b****, I'll definitely teach you a lesson. Seeing her so angry, Miao Shihua was so anxious that she was about to cry when she thought of Sima Yue refusing to treat her daughter's poison. She had asked someone to pass the message to the elders in the family so that they would oppress Sima Yue. In the end, they didn't say anything and just gave in. What was this? Mother, that B***Tsich won't treat Shier's poison. What will Shier do? What are you crying for? She's not dead yet? Miao Shihua shouted. It's not only that little B***Tch who knows how to treat the poison. Wasn't the prescription given by the city lord of Tangerine City? Then he should know how to treat the poison too. Even if he doesn't know how to refine the pill, he should remember the prescription. Go and find him. Are you afraid that you won't be able to find the antidote? Miao Shihua was stunned. I know that too. But we don't know where that person went. We can't find him at all. This book came from. Chapter 1451. They couldn't find her? Then what was the use of the antidote? Then why aren't you looking for her? Jiang Shui shouted. Since she's here, she must be in the same city. Send more people and we'll find her. Yes, I'll go now. Miao Shihua was very afraid of her mother-in-law and left immediately after hearing her words. Sima Yue gave them the antidote after extorting a large sum of money from them. The women were extremely excited after receiving the antidote and turned to detoxify their children. Don't be in such a hurry to leave. Sima Yue called out to them. They thought that Sima Yue was going to take back the antidote and quickly kept it. Is there anything else? Sima Yue nodded and said, This is only the first antidote. There are 2 more after that. For the sake of my grandfather and the others, if you pay the last 2 at once, I can give you a 10% discount. The women's lips twitched. Discount? Did she think that they would thank her? Since that's the case, we'll pay it all at once. The old man from before said. Sima Yue liked him very much. He was simply too considerate. If there were any changes in the future, they might not be able to pay for the last 2 times. But if they accepted it now, they couldn't go back on their words even if they wanted to. She wouldn't spit out what was in her mouth. Since the old man had spoken, the others could only obediently agree. After all, his status was so high. According to Sima Yue, everyone was a family. Hence, 1 antidote was worth 500,000 top-grade crystals. 3 pills would be 1.5 million. After deducting the 500,000 that was given just now, the remaining 1 million would be given a 10% discount. Each of them would only have to give her 900,000. When the women took out their wallets, their hearts ached. These were top-grade crystals and they had to give out 1,400,000 in one go. Their hearts were bleeding. Fortunately, their family was rich and could still afford this. They could just go back and report it when the time came. Since this is your own mistake, then this will go to your private account. After they handed over the money, the old man said faintly. The corners of those madams' mouths twitched fiercely. If they couldn't claim the bill, then wouldn't they have to use their own private money to pay for it? They wanted to protest, but could they? Unless they don't want to stay in the family anymore. He wanted to teach them a lesson, but this lesson was too painful. They looked at Sima Yue. They had learned their lesson and would never provoke her again. Go! The old man waved his hand, and those people all retreated, leaving only the old man behind. You, this is your great-granduncle He Shun. Sima Yuan introduced. Yue greets great-uncle He Shun. Sima Yue bowed to Sima He Shun. Sima He Shun nodded his head. Being able to accept, this was a good temperament. Are you satisfied with this? He asked. I'm satisfied. Thank you for your help, Granduncle Zeng. Sima Yue could tell that he was helping her on purpose to teach those people a lesson. If it was Sima Yuan who spoke, those people would say that he was biased towards her and would not be so obedient. They might even take the opportunity to attack him. But Sima He Shun was different. He had a high status in the family and was not directly related to her. Those people would naturally not dare to act rashly. If you're satisfied, when will you return to the family? He asked. Sima Yue looked at him. This old fox, so he wanted her to go back. I think this is pretty good. She did not want to go back like this. Come back, the family needs you. Sima He Shun said. The family needs you. With just a few words, he had expressed her importance to the family and made her feel a sense of responsibility. She was still a part of the family. The blood of the Sima family still flowed in her body. As long as the family was not trash, the blood in her body would start to boil with a light touch. I still have things to settle. She said, once I've settled things and am satisfied, I'll go back. But before that, you can't stop me. You want to deal with Jiang Shui's family? That's not for sure. Sima Yue said, who was the one who harmed my father and me? If this matter is not settled, I won't go back. What happened back then is already in the past. Someone said. What happened back then is in the past and I did survive safely. But this doesn't mean that the grudges from back then have disappeared. Sima Yue interrupted him. If it was you, would you be willing? That person did not speak. If there was a hidden enemy, anyone would feel uneasy. Then can't you talk about it when you return to the family? Someone asked. Of course not. Sima Yue shook her head. When I go back, I'll be in the light and the enemy is in the dark. It's too dangerous. Besides, there are some things that can't be done if I return to the family, right? Everyone's heart trembled. She did not intend to let those people off. As an outsider, even if she killed those people, the Sima family could not force her. But once she returned to the family, she would consider the pressure of the family and would not have so much freedom. Since you've decided, then do as you wish. Sima He Shun said, it's time for the family to be cleaned up. Third brother, how can that be? The family doesn't allow internal strife. The others cried out. Patriarch, what do you think about this? Sima Yuan glanced at those people and said, Lu Xian was chased out of the family. Yue was not listed in the family records, so it's not considered internal strife. This was the reason why Sima Yue did not want to return to the family. All these years, the Jiang family has interfered too much with us. When Sima He Shun said this, the others fell silent. Sai, you're right. Our family should be cleaned up. Otherwise, not to mention becoming stronger, I'm afraid that our surname will be changed to Jiang. Sima Yue listened to their discussion and understood a little. Jiang family? Jiang Shui, it's the woman who attacked you just now. Huang Yingying saw that Sima Yue was a little confused and explained, she's from the Jiang family. In recent years, the Jiang family has interfered a lot with our affairs. Sima Yue nodded in understanding. So, you want to borrow my hand to deal with the Jiang family? Sima He Shun smiled and did not refute. Seems like it. Sima Yue said, so we can make a deal. Deal? Yes, you want to borrow my hand. Shouldn't you pay me? Sima Yue said, don't worry, my fee is not expensive. It's definitely good and cheap. I'll settle things beautifully for you. This girl was really, how could she do this? Sima Yue smiled brightly because another sum of money was going to enter her account. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.